Hey, Q Army. Boom, boom, boom. Do you think we saw the new Q drop, everybody? Press 17 if you know we saw it. Let's do this. Where we go one, we go all, guys. You are the news now. You are making all of this happen. You are who we've been waiting for. Fight, 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 and fight we will. We fight every day, and I love when people come in here and say, hey, did you see that there's new Q? Hey, who do you think you're talking to, guys? I love it. Thank you for letting us know, because if we missed it, you would have told us. So thank you guys very much, and I love that, guys. You guys are amazing. Yes, there has been a new Q, and amazing, but let's go over it in 1 second. It is April 16th, 2020, but you know, first I've got to bring in my partner in justice, Shady Groove. Shady.
Make room for me.
Make room for Shady. Get on in here.
I'm part of the army of frogs.
You are part of the army of frogs. No doubt about it.
Look at these people out here. Much love, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are in the middle of a crazy storm with Out of Shadows, my friend. This movie is gone super viral. It's trending everywhere. Every platform you can imagine are censoring them. And they are breaking the barriers, my friend. Look at how we are winning. Look at the 17s. Frog 17s.
Yeah, buddies. Yeah, and Joe Ray is in the house. Joe Ray Perkins for Senate. We have a future senator right here in this room. We've got, we got Aurelius Locke. Crux sent me, hey, Mike is amazing. You know, we've been talking to him for a year and praying over this, this documentary. And I tell you guys, let's look right now. What is the active count right now with all the censorship? 7.188, almost 7.2 million, guys.
They're getting over 1 million a day.
And you know what's interesting too is if you type outofshadows.org, it separates the URL sometimes. And if you look on YouTube, it's not even on the top. They've got other ones that are like 300,000, 400,000, 60,000. I got an update from the Q Army Japan. They are about halfway through Out of Shadows right now. 6 people are working on it to make it in Japanese. We've already got a German version, so this is going viral, multiple countries. I know there's already a Spanish version as well.
Yeah, there is a Spanish version and there is a Dutch version out there. I saw 4 or 5 more people from around the world last night saying that they were working on helping get this translated in other languages. Look at how the Q Army is pulling together and spreading the message, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying everything that they could possibly try. And not only that, but normal people who are trying to watch the movie are like, where's the movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is YouTube censoring something that's going viral? They don't understand it. That turns on light bulbs, which brings people to ask more questions, which we love those questions. Frogs love questions.
Frogs love question. And by the way, Adam Miller says that was cool how Crux responded back to me last night. You know, Adam Miller, Mike Smith is an amazing guy. Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong. There we go. I'm sorry, guys. I was showing you guys, but I'm in the wrong. Excuse me. What we're doing is Mike is a regular guy, and we've talked to him like last night and the night before, and we've been celebrating with him, Liz and Brad, and Kevin. We had him on the show yesterday, and we made Media Matters, Shady.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, wow. This has been winning after winning after winning after winning. So,
and you notice that you haven't seen the normal characters talking about this movie, haven't you?
No.
Yes, the ones that
you mean like the Rothschild, Mike Rothschild, and
they're staying out of it.
Will Summer, who will make you dumber?
Daily Beast yet?
Yeah, we did have all these Q posts on our show yesterday, Every single one of them. And you guys were here when we said Boris. I still am freaked out about that. But obviously, we went into the video and and Dr. Oz was talking about the South Dakota trial. Yeah, on the hydroxychloroquine trial, and they said that they gave it to French doctors and French people. But what I think this does mean is that Boris Johnson healed and from hydroxychloroquine. That's what we're going to find.
Yeah, and you guys out there have the information ahead of time.
Yeah,
like this is going to be something he's not talking about right now for whatever reason. More than likely, the rules and regulations over things that you can take into your body in Europe are much different than they are here. So who knows how that falls in what you can take and what you're not supposed to say or anything like that. But I think that we sent him some medicine.
Yeah, and Mike says, guess what? You're not Boris. Well, it was very interesting that 2 minutes ago we were talking about being informed for yourself. We were talking about the Q not being compromised. And I said, Boris and Natasha, Q is not compromised. And Shady was talking about thinking for yourself and trusting for yourself. And Boris was posted. So that, obviously is a nice, awesome coincidence. And I'm honored. And we should all be honored on this show, as Q has been dropping on our show for over a year, Shady.
Yeah, it's been really fun to see how many times we've been on the air, and the idea that Q can post and then we can discuss and dissect in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the frogs, the original frog meme that they posted on July 30th, 2019. He sent among them swarm of flies which devoured them and frogs which destroyed them. Psalm 78:45. 45. That's very interesting, right? 45. Who's the 45th president, Shady?
Oh, Trump.
And the frogs to destroy them. So could that be Navy SEALs? Could that be you and I, as frogs, as Anons, as Pepe-loving patriots, if you will? And I kind of made a quick little video. Let's check it out real quick. Here we go.
Let's go.
What do you call a bunch of frogs? You call them an army of frogs. And that's exactly what you are, what we are. And I just wanted to make this and the frogs to destroy them, Shady.
That's who you guys are. Jackie Moore out there says she red-pilled her son with Out of Shadows.
Nice.
So many stories I'm seeing like that, and I know that a lot of you already in here in the chat have the stories about how this is able to break the mind barrier and get past the frontal lobes and sink into like, oh, whenever the human mind realizes something is being hidden from them, it changes. There's a literal chemical reaction that occurs, and neurons start to connect, and people start to want to know for themselves personally, as opposed to being told. And that is what is called taking the red pill. So congratulations to Jackie and all the other people out there that are having amazing success with the great work. I mean, I'm seeing stuff out there on Twitter. They're claiming that it must have been some huge production and he must have had a big team of deep state people behind him to do this. Guys, This was done from the heart. This is organic. This is real.
There's not even credits on the movie, guys. He doesn't want to become famous. He just wanted to tell his story of how he woke up, how he found Jesus and God, and told his story about, wow, I'm looking around at these people. It clicked. You know, he figured it out. People that he knew, you know, he's like, that makes sense. That's why this guy's got that in his house, this in his house. Oh my gosh, he's a real person who's very talented. And, you know, there's that line, that red line, how Mike describes it. If you go cross the line, there's above the line and below the line. And below the line are just the regular people like the grips, the people that are helping out with, the production, just regular people. And then there's above the line. And if you go above the line, that's when you know about the cult. And, Q talked about the cult. It's a tale of two. One, satanic worship, and two, child trafficking, pedophilia. So it's a tale of two, and that's what they know above the line. But, when you're working, every day, doing your job, creating and doing what you think, he's a great stuntman. Brad and Mike are great stuntmen. They did a great job. They were creative. They needed them because, as you know, these people that worship this kind of crap can't create.
They could only manipulate.
So he woke up. And this is a real person, Batman. He played Batman and Batman Forever, guys. And then Brad played Spider-Man. So, what is up with that, right? I mean, pretty crazy. These guys are amazing. And their career is just phenomenal. We went through the IMDb, and, they don't have all of their credits on there because, a lot of time stuntmen don't get credited because they want you to think it's part of the illusion.
And they don't want credit.
Exactly right.
Because that, they feel like that's part of the beauty of their job is to be able to make the people on screen look good.
And when Q called this, after 1 million views, the best documentary of the year, it shot even further. And I tell you, this is actually helping extend, in my opinion, this is my opinion, the looking glass, if you will. This is accelerating the awakening. We needed this. This was meant to be dropped on 4/10/20 when it dropped, not before, not after, but on 4/10/20 when everybody's sitting in their house, Shady, wanting something to watch, I got people saying, hey, I watched this thing 4 times already.
Yeah, and I saw one publication saying quarantine movie of the year or quarantine movie, a must-watch quarantine movie or something like. Yeah. It's good press.
Yeah, and we made, they made, and we also made, you guys here on this show made Right Wing Watch, guys. They were saying that Smith's went on a show.
Marketing strategy.
Yeah, his marketing strategy was to go on a show, one of the top QAnon producers, content producers, intheMatrixxx, and then they said, hey, I don't know how he did it because it went viral, more viral than it's ever any show has. We got this thing. You guys helped spread this thing to 1 million people, and then it took off even more because of your help and your spread and the way that the Streisand effect. Yeah. And we made it happen by our thoughts and prayers, by getting together and saying, this thing is going to go viral. Yes. Perkins, Joe Ray Perkins for U.S. Senate in Oregon says, welcome to the Right Wing Watch Club. We have arrived.
That's a marker, she says.
That is a marker. Excuse me. But, we read that article yesterday and it was actually pretty good, and we can go over some of the press later.
Well, I mean, considering what the normal ragtag mainstream media writes, it was fairly decent towards the information, even though it jaded it towards its unbelievable material. It is red pilling people, even whenever it's like that.
So I'm going to give you guys a 17 because I think you guys are amazing, and we all materialized the success for this movie, in my opinion, Shady. So
there it is.
You guys get a 17 from me. And if you agree, hit 17 yourself, guys, for all you guys. So Julie's hitting a 17 for Nadine. Nadine, let's see you hit a 17 for Delon. Let's see you guys hit 17 to everybody else in this room, because no one here is above the other. No one. And where we go one, we go
All.
all. And that's spelled A-L-L. If you look up all, that's all inclusive. Where places, we, all of us, go a place. Where we go one, all of us. Where I go, you go. Where you go, he goes. Where he goes, she goes. All. Where we go one, we go all. Not some. Not just my people that believe like me. There's going to be people that don't believe like us. Then they're going too. And it's a blessing, Shady. It's amazing, right?
It's an amazing time to be alive, my friend.
It really is. And that's just a quick decode of where we go when we go all. Now let's get into this Q post, Shady. This is 3972. This is NPR.org. This is a transcript and video of the NPR exit video with President Obama. Think then, think now, start 1540 knowingly in Killbox Q. So let's head out over to this video and let's head over to 1540 right now. And you know what? He kind of looks scared, doesn't he? We're going to start around, let me see if I can get it perfect. Start at 1531, just because my fingers can't get it. Here we go.
And that's something that I'm also going to be thinking a lot about in my afterlife, my post-presidency.
You talked about this with the comedian Trevor Noah the other day, and you said a number of things in a row. You observed that there had been contacts between members of Mr. Trump's staff and Russian officials.
Right.
You noted that Trump benefited from the hacks. Your spokesman, Josh Earnest, has gone on to say this week that it's obvious that Trump knew what was going on. To what extent are you suggesting some kind of cooperation between the president-elect and Russian officials here?
Well, I'm not suggesting cooperation at all. Keep in mind that those statements were in the context of everyone now acting surprised by the CIA assessment that this was done purposely to improve Trump's chances. And my only point was that shouldn't be treated as a blockbuster because that was the worst kept secret in this town. Everybody understood that. It was reported on. Steve, if you go back and look at your stories, if you read any mainstream publication, you would see that if you have a hack of the DNC and a hack of Hillary Clinton's most senior advisor's emails, and those things are then released in drip, drip, drip fashion over the course of months, and that seem to generate consistently negative coverage, despite the fact that there's nothing in there that's particularly controversial, that it's mostly just, as I said, political gossip or routine emails between folks who are working in a campaign environment, then it's a pretty clear inference that people would draw and did draw that this was helping the Trump campaign and it was hurting the Hillary campaign. That doesn't mean that the Trump campaign was coordinating. It just means that they understood what everybody else understood, which was that this was not good for Hillary Clinton's campaign. And when you combine that with the fact that the president-elect has been very honest about his admiration for Putin and that he hopes to forge a more cooperative relationship with him and focus on the threat of Islamic terrorism, then my only point was we shouldn't now suddenly act as if this is a huge revelation. In October, we said, after being very careful about it, because we had no interest in appearing as if we were putting our thumbs on the scales, we did what was almost unprecedented, which was every intelligence agency in the federal government arrived at a consensus that the Russians had hacked the DNC, and the information that was now being released was as a consequence of a decision by Russian intelligence and Russian officials at the highest levels. So what the CIA is now assessing, which was it was done purposefully to tilt the election in the direction of a particular candidate, shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, and in fact isn't a surprise to anybody. And as I said before, the issue now is not relitigating the election. The issue now is for us to learn lessons so that we don't have an ongoing situation in every election cycle where you have substantial foreign influence in our campaigns.
There's another issue going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Is it necessary for the security of the United States that Russia pay some price for doing this? If, as you said, they did it.
I think there is no doubt that when any foreign government tries to impact the integrity of our elections, that we need to take action, and we will at a time and place of our own choosing. Some of it may be explicit and publicized, some of it may not be. But Mr. Putin is well aware of my feelings about this because I spoke to him directly about it. And there is among the big powers, there has been a traditional understanding of that everybody's trying to gather intelligence on everybody else. It's no secret that Russian intelligence officers or Chinese or, for that matter, Israeli or British or other intelligence agencies, that their job is to get insight into the workings of other countries that they're not reading in the newspapers every day. There's a difference between that and the kind of malicious cyber attacks that steal trade secrets or engage in industrial espionage, something that we've seen the Chinese do. And there's a difference between that and activating intelligence in a way that's designed to influence elections. So we have been working hard to make sure that what we do is proportional, that what we do is meaningful. One of the things that we're going to have to do over the next decade is to ultimately arrive at some rules of what is a new game, and that is the way in which traditional propaganda and traditional covert influence efforts are being turbocharged by the internet and by the cyber world. And so the whole issue of cybersecurity and how we play defense, how we think about offense, and how we avoid an escalation of a major cyber war or a cyber arms race is something that some of our smartest folks in government and in the private sector are spending a lot of time thinking about, because there is an asymmetry here. We are more digitalized. Our economy is more advanced. It's much wealthier. And it means that we have certain vulnerabilities that some of our adversaries don't have. This is actually a good example of where, in addition to whatever actions that we take bilaterally against Russia, we've got to spend some time working at an international level to start instituting some norms, the same way we did with things like nuclear weapons, because ultimately we can have a situation where everybody's worse off. That's what we did with China when we were seeing repeated hacking primarily for
don't do it yet.
Industrial espionage purposes, commercial.
So if you notice there how hard it was for this man to speak and you were seeing him lie straight to your face. And now you guys all know. And whenever you watch him act like that, you can tell he's not telling the truth. I mean, not only is he extremely overwhelmingly nervous, you can see that he's nervous, but he can't hardly choke out the words to say that the DNC was hacked. All of us know that the DNC was not hacked, and the current administration knows that as well. And what you could see there on his face, I think, was a pretty good example of someone not telling the truth, in my opinion.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, he admitted that Russia didn't hack the election, basically, Shady. Is that what I heard?
I mean, yeah, well, he admitted that they didn't know.
Right.
But how it happened, but it happened. And so, you know, the idea that you knowingly,
right.
period.
Right.
You know, they knew what they were, they all knew what they were doing. This was all an op. This was complete to cover up. And now we're 3.5 years later. Good Lord. And we're waking people up to see the truth. But he's got some serious problems, and he just came out with his endorsement of Joe Biden, and it was pretty funny what the president was saying.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, he was saying, "Oh, what does Obama know about Joe? Why is he not endorsing him?" So he inadvertently had forced him to come out and say something because so many people gave him the what.
Yeah, and he basically said Great Awakening as well, Shady.
Well, the other day he binded Great Awakening so that anyone that hears the Great Awakening kind of face turns red and your mind goes off and you start to attack. That's kind of like a Twitter message there, or Facebook, to attack anyone that you see commenting on the Great Awakening.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, look at this. So they're all giving POTUS yesterday heck about forcing Congress into recess using his powers. But guess who else did that, Shady?
44?
Yeah, Barack Obama needs to force Congress into recess to make appointments. And the Daily Beast was calling that for Obama should overrule Republicans to make appointments they've been blocking, says Michael Tomasky. So if any Democrat gives us any crap about forcing Congress into recess using presidential powers, they can... Never mind. Just look back at this article. How about that? Is that a better way to put it?
Well, me and you and I went into this yesterday after the show and stuff, but let's just go into it a little bit about what's going on, what we're talking about. The president came out yesterday, and the press was extremely concerned yesterday after the show and stuff. But there we are.
Yep,
the press was completely concerned about how the how the president could use Article 3 and to adjourn Congress, and that is exactly what I think that might be on his mind, because we've got to get these people appointed. He's got all these people that he can't appoint because they're stifling him. They're stopping him. He said the one guy's been waiting for 2.5 years for a cabinet position. And so the media is kind of freaking out, and they have also found themselves in a bit of a pickle here, because what are they going to do?
Say it again.
Right? I said, what? A pickle.
Yeah, pickle.
What are they going to do?
They're in a pickle.
What are they going to do? They cannot make a move because we are under a national emergency in every state. The president of the United States currently has control of everything. And I'd like to bring you back real quick, and I didn't discuss this with you before we went on the air, but notice the number of times Q has posted about whenever government becomes corrupt, that it is the right of the people to overthrow them.
That's right.
How do we do that? The only way the members or the people that wrote our Constitution meant for that to be done was through the president of the United States with the will of the people.
That's right.
Right now, we've got a lot of, quote, will of the people behind the president of the United States. It does seem like a good time to strike while the iron is hot.
Yep. And just FYI, we have the President Trump here on our screen. So when it goes live, he will be live right here, guys. So no worries. You don't need to go anywhere.
We are monitoring.
We are monitoring. And, that's a great point, Shady. And you know what? I also want to bring up a point, too. Let's go to the Twitter page here. I don't think many people understand what's actually happening right now. let's go back down. Let me just find the tweet that I'm looking for right here, Shady. This is the Treasury Department has ordered President Donald Trump, his name, to be printed on the stimulus checks, and everybody's up in an uproar. Do you know why they're up in an uproar, folks? Let me just pause. Let's just pause, Shady, and find out. Do you know why the news media? Hey, thanks, Dylan. Do you know why the news media is in an uproar about President Trump putting his name on the Treasury Department checks?
Why would this be so concerning?
Yeah.
Who normally signs any checks you get back from the government?
Federal Reserve trustee.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's in charge of the Fed, because he's in charge of the actual Sparky. Good job. He's in charge of the Treasury, which took that money from the Fed and put it into your bank, folks.
The people's pocket.
The people's pocket. Say that 10 times fast. Come on.
No.
People's pocket, people's pocket, people's pocket. People's pocket.
No.
The PaySur, United States of America and Body Politic Trust, which is what P stands for. The chair serves the master. P equals C. The chairman of the Federal Reserve is now your president, Donald J. Trump, and nobody else is talking about it. Period. And that's what's happening.
That's why he wants to sign your checks.
Exactly.
But he did make it. Oh, that's not really. Oh, he was so like flippant with the press yesterday evening. But we also had a few other clues.
Go ahead. A few other clues. I'm trying to grab this real quick, Shady, before we move forward.
I see where you're headed.
Yep. Hang on one second. And so what people don't understand is the United States Treasury was founded by the Congress. Right? When was it founded? 1789. Why was it founded? It can be traced back to 1775, when American leaders were looking forward to ways to fund the Revolutionary War. Their solution was issuing cash that doubled as redeemable bills of credit. Oh my gosh, is this not what is happening, folks?
Boom.
Is this not what is happening? The shot heard around the world.
Lexington and Concord is April 19th.
Are you guys seeing this? Press 17 if you guys are seeing this. Nobody is talking about this.
The idea that we are going back to the original founding principles of our government, that is just, to me, it keeps me awake at night because it's so exciting, and it seems like no one else is paying attention to this.
Look at the 17s. These guys get it. But no other show anywhere, that even one that starts up here soon, understands what P and the chair, the PaySur Trust, nobody understands it. There's one guy that's awesome, though, that is X22. I do really appreciate him. And this is only just in regards to the Fed, talking about the Fed. The Fed is dead, how it's been restructured, and it's been restructured right in front of our very eyes, and nobody's seeing it.
It's a parallel. They've built a parallel economy. They've built a real economy right beside the
And Weeping
fiat
Angel does.
economy.
Okay, Esther's daughter. My apologies. Weeping Angel does as well. Thank you. And Santa Surfing. Okay, good. So we got some people. Yay. So shout out to all you guys, all those guys. And it's very amazing. Shady, I didn't mean to step on you, but wow, right?
No, I think I'm just as excited as you are. What I'm seeing is something I never thought I would see. To be honest, been researching this stuff for decades and looking into how our country was supposed to be, and then it became more interesting to learn like what the school didn't teach me. I learned way more about the Constitution after I got out of school than I ever did in school, because I wanted to know for myself and go learn about it and how it was structured. And the Treasury is so imperative to our function as a society. Remember, everyone, so many people don't think about this. 3%. There was only 3% of the people in the continental United States at the point, the 13 colonies, like there was only 3% that stood up to Britain. 3%. Yeah. The rest of the people here on in the country did not necessarily think it was a great idea to go fighting the largest empire the planet had ever seen and struggle and strive to try to establish a country. They kind of weren't on board with it. They sort of liked things the way they were, including the central banking cabal structure that you're currently seeing us fight today. That structure is the reason we left Europe.
That's right.
Now, people do not seem to grasp this. There is no other reason to leave other than you're trying to escape tyranny and establish freedom. And that is what I see our president doing right now on a timeline that just seems escalated at this point. But I see him making moves talking about our original government, like who we really are as a nation. That is so important.
So let's look at Federalist number 23. It's an essay by Alexander Hamilton for the 23rd of the Federalist Papers. And it was published on December 18th, 1787 under the pseudonym Publius, the name under which the Federalist Papers were published. One of the more significant essays of number 23 attempts to justify the increased strength of the federal government under the proposed United States Constitution compared to the then active Articles of Confederation. The paper is entitled "The Necessity of a Government as Energetic as the One Proposed to the Preservation of the Union." And this is 23, guys. Pain. This is the pain. This is how we have the Constitution. This is the anti-federalists who opposed the expansion of federal power, brought many counter arguments against Hamilton on this. And through that day, the Constitution was indeed ratified, and their concern about the federal government being too powerful motivated the Bill of Rights, particularly the 10th Amendment, right? And that's where our sheriffs hold the power. They're the CEOs, the governors. But if they don't get along with intercontinental trade, our president can step in and tell the governors what to do. And
especially in a time of national emergency.
Especially in a time of national emergency. Very, very good.
Yeah, which is extra important right now. And that's what I see. This is what I see. I see what he's doing now. I see how you create, you utilize their own systems against them. That's exactly what we're watching. We're using their own systems against them to take back the country. We're taking back the republic. Remember, your Constitution does not give you rights.
That's right.
And I'd like for you to understand that, especially as you start to red pill people. The Constitution does not give you rights. Your rights are granted and given to you by your creator. The Constitution restricts what the government can do to you.
Yeah.
That's
right.
what it does. And they've spun it around to say, oh, the Constitution gives me my rights. No, the Constitution protects your rights.
Your God-given rights.
Your God-given rights. The Constitution protects that from the government attempting to take it from you. Rearrange your thinking when you're explaining this, because it'll come out a lot clearer and more understandable if you organize it in the proper way. We do not have our rights because of the Constitution. We have the right to stop our government from hurting us because of the Constitution.
And Zoltan says we're missing it, but we're not, because we are under war. And that's what we just went over, because that's how we're getting the treasury, because that was war with Britain to take back our sovereignty. This is war. This is a wartime posture.
This is the American Revolution 2.0.
That's right.
Because we're going back to the original Federalist system, the idea that common law is the law of the land, not maritime admiralty law.
Right. Common law, which will obviously, I believe, be...
it makes common sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, it really does.
I mean, why mess with something that's not broken? They keep telling me that's a living document, by the way. The Constitution that protects me from being attacked by my government is a living document and can be manipulated.
That's right.
I don't fall into that category of thinking.
Yeah, that's ridiculous thinking, because if you read it, it's not very long. Read it yourself before you parrot back, globalists crap. Read it for yourself. Read the Constitution. Take time tonight with your son or daughter, no matter what age, and just start talking about the Constitution. It's very important.
Yeah, maybe explain to them a little bit about your personal experience,
right,
about how you kind of...
Mitch is saying Nassara. So I differ with, I don't think, so this is where I think the Constitution overrides any of that. But Nassara, yes, was a document. And I know Shady and I, go back and forth with this a little bit. But Nassara is now Jassara. But I think what we're seeing is, I just showed you the Constitution of how, or how the Treasury was formed, and what the presidential powers for the Constitution should be: intercontinental trading, the military, the borders, and trading with other countries. And that's exactly what our president is doing today, according to the Constitution. Now, Shady, if you want to go on the Nisara Jisara, go ahead.
I do just here in just a minute, real quick. I'd like to address it. Okay, so what you're seeing with the Jisara stuff is an outline. Okay, that is a bit of stuff that's been out there since the late 90s, and they've been talking about this repatriation of wealth and a return to the constitutional format, which would be elimination of the income tax and elimination of all of the contracts that are needed to commerce in America. So to some degree, you've got to understand that is not necessarily the process that we are working through here, but the outline of what Jisara speaks of is accurate. So it is based on your Constitution. You do not owe an income tax. You do not have to go get a driver's license. All of these different contracts are rights that you already have. And we're restoring our federalist base in the Constitution. And the Jisara stuff is a repatriation of wealth. That's what the whole thing was about, was repatriating the wealth to the American people. And I think if you pull back just a little bit, you'll see that is pretty much what we're watching happen, which is freeing our economy, opening the capitalist system. And Matrixxx and I have said this multiple times. We've never really had an open, free capitalist system in the modern era. It doesn't exist. It's been controlled since the early 1900s. Before that proceeded the most wealth ever gained by the middle class in the history of the world. So just understand that it does intertwine, but it's not the blueprint.
That's right. And that's what I think too, because if we're going to do the Constitution, we're going to do the Constitution, right? And I don't see President Trump on yet. This is the official President Trump. Here it is. It's they got the live
when he comes out.
Yeah, they got the live stream up. So let's just take a minute and realize that you are watching a revolution. You're watching a revolution. We just now took the Federal Reserve away. We took the Saudi Arabia's $4 trillion. We took the Rothschilds' $2 trillion, $6.2 trillion. Next up, George Soros, $1 trillion. That's how we got our money. Q Post, I believe 133, or is it 144? But let's just watch this while we're waiting for our president, because this is Lexington and Concord, guys. Let me just skip that ad and go right here. Here we go. Oh, it's a revolution. Believe you me.
We'll march to Lexington, then Concord. Close with Patriots are stockpiling our weapons there we heard. We've had enough of traitors of this treason. Tonight we're capturing those rebel scum. On Paul Revere, going to Lexington. Gotta warn the regulars, we're coming for some add-ons. And handcuffed to lanterns mean they come by sea. So I ride hard on my horsey, Black Beauty. April 1975. As the dawn is breaking, we're looking alive. I'm Captain John Parker, these are Minutemen. Standing tall, unafraid on the common. I've had it with these militias, acting like they don't have a royal ruler. You better lay your arms down, you villain rebels. We do shot, you are our spire at will. Shot around the world.
Yeah.
And it's on now, Lexington and Concord.
Shot around the world. Come on, sing it, everybody.
And it's on now, Lexington and
History.
Concord. 8 Minutemen dead, killed by guns and bayonets, and the rest of us fled. Brits continue marching ahead. We came to Concord for the weapons they have stored. Most of it has moved, so we're headed back to Boston. Militiamen from all over Massachusetts gathering at the North Bridge for the British. As the last of backs retreat to Boston, we be shooting them, just look at them run. How our colonists straight kicking our bums, more waiting for us back in Lexington. Everywhere we turn and they shooting at us, they got us on the run, hurry to Boston. Shot heard around the world, and it's on now, Lexington and Concord. Shot heard around the world, and it's on now, Lexington and Concord. Boston, Mass, says tell His Majesty we've had it with his third-rate monarchy, and we mean business. American Revolution, finally it has begun. begun. American Revolution, finally it has begun.
Welcome back, class. I am
There
Mr.
you
Betts,
go.
and that was
It is so
Lexington
bad it's good. It is Lexington and Concord. This is a revolution. We are taking our country back by action. Forget about what people say. Go ahead and look it up. Trust yourself. Learn for yourself. Understand what the Federal Reserve did to us. Understand that. Understand the powers that be, the monies that took control of the world, guys. We've never had our republic ever in our lifetime. So a restoration is interesting because we didn't have it for long, folks. So this is the American Revolution 2.0. Shady.
Yeah, and notice that the Lexington and Concord shot heard around the world is April 19th. And that date was originally Patriots Day, and it has since been changed and maneuvered and manipulated, and lots of very bad things occur on that day and right around that. Hashtag Oklahoma City, Columbine, probably 10 or 15 other events. There's a bunch of them that have happened right around there. And they try to change this energy every year. And also, just to note, this is their time, Matrixxx. This right now, between the 18th, 19th of April to May Day, are the 13 days of the calendar year that the cabal finds extra special. They do extra nefarious type stuff during this time. And in my opinion, we have set this up to go after them when they are at their weakest.
Here you go, Shady.
This was a tweet by the Navy yesterday, and it kind of caught my eye because they said, trust the process. Okay, trust the process. Does that sound like trust the plan?
It sure does, Shady.
Trust the process. And then he calls out Theodore Roosevelt, the ship Theodore Roosevelt. Well, then that struck me, because who took my gold? Theodore Roosevelt took my gold in 1933 and paid me $10 an ounce for something that was worth $30. And then 15 years later, it was back up to $50 an ounce. And today it trades on the market at $1,600 an ounce.
Boom.
They have stolen your wealth. We granted them the privilege of using our money so that they could properly coin and quote unquote control inflation in the market, because there was no such thing as inflation. These people that keep talking to me about, oh, the Fed was created. There was no inflation before 1913. There was no such thing as inflation. There was massive amount of industrial revolution occurring for the past 50 years that created enormous gains in technology and the way to live as a human being. Here in America, we changed that. We revolutionized the whole landscape of the world, and how we function to the world you live in today came from America. And they stole your wealth right from underneath your nose. And then we have the Navy posting the Theodore Roosevelt and trust the process just yesterday. That caught my eye. It's very interesting. I thought I'd like to say hashtag we have the gold.
And there they are. And seals. What if, the frogs, the seals, what if the gold is underneath? What if they got the gold? Very interesting to think about.
That ship's got a 71 on it. I just now caught that.
Yeah, 71.
17.
17, think mirror. Oh my god.
Queued up's got me reading numbers backwards.
Queued up, bottom to top, top to bottom, left is right, right is left. Very good. So while we're waiting for the president, and we got him right here on live, he's up next. Here it is. They started the stream. He's not there yet. Don't go anywhere. We'll watch it if he comes on here in the next, half an hour, which I think he will. But here we go. So, this is interesting, guys. I mean, we watched this knowingly. So our link to President Obama from Q today. Oh my God, Shady. Just amazing. Knowingly. And this is my thread start for knowingly, because, people said, hey, Matrixxx, do you see that Q posted? Who do you think you're talking to over there? You know what I'm saying? Who do you think you're talking to? This is my post. This was a Joe M. Storm Upon Us meme that he made for me, and I love it. This is my QAnon post thread for 4/16/2020, and it's awesome. It says, and Anon says, I'm not sure if this whole Q thing is real, but before he drops are definitely but the info he drops, excuse me, are definitely eye-opening. And I said, oh, it's real. And he made a meme for me. So that's from Joe M. Thank you very much, my brother. We're missing you on Twitter. Here we go. This is, the thread so far. So we had it on there, right? Pretty good, right? We had it. So here, yeah, Stephen, nothing. Yes, Stephen, nothing is happening, right? So here we go. We got people that are saying nothing happening, blah, blah, blah. Patriots, be cautious in your interpretations of info. False expectations of push based on speculation will only weaponize those who attack us. Why does the MSM expend resources daily attempting to discredit? Do you provide the playbook to the enemy with specific dates, logical thinking, FISA, indictment, start, public? That's a great reminder. And look at all the stuff that's happening, Shady. You want to go over it real quick? Let's just go over it. Future proves past. Events unlocked, guys. This is what has happened. CEO departures, Shady. Think
CEO departures. Think FBI departures. Think DOJ departures. Think State Department departures. Think White House departures. Think DIA departures. Think Pentagon departures. Think Senate departures. Think House departures. Think what is that one? MB departures. Ambassador. Yep. Think IG departures. Think judge install. Think Supreme Court install. Think White House install. Think FBI install. Think CI clowns install. Think DOJ install. Think U.S. attorneys install. Game theory. If you look, you can see.
Wow.
And that's why we need the new eyes. We're waking up new eyes so that they can see.
And look, Q posts on my show. Again, Shady, on our show. Wow.
What do we got going on in here?
What do we got going on? So, Twitter, Deep State, expose. Who trained, supplied ISIS? What if HRC won? Who destroyed ISIS? Knowledge is power. Q. Here we go.
Oh, Deep State exposed. Nice. He gets cued.
Whoops.
Was moving too slowly.
Let me do this. Here. Sorry.
As I've said before, this aspect of our strategy was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Wow.
Yo, Freudian slip.
And I said, Q sent us, and I dropped a link to this show right now, folks. Wow, that's awesome. Q sent all of us, guys. Wow, that's beautiful, Shady. And that is Deep State exposed, and he is Q. That is awesome. Expose.
Deep State, yeah,
Jeremy Stone, best-selling author, conservative Trumper, retweeted by POTUS 10 times. World's foremost authority on the Deep State. Where we go one, we go.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Very nice. Thank you, Q. We appreciate you every day posting on this show for, over a year now, man. This is amazing, Shady. I am just so honored.
Again, it's just it's hard to believe we're really doing what we're doing. We were so disconnected, but so many of us, like so many people that are here, like with us right now on the stream. Like, I know you guys, even though I don't know you, I know that you were dealing with this stuff.
1,941 Patriots, Shady.
You were thinking about this stuff years ago, but you were by yourself. You didn't know who to talk to. You didn't know who to share. You didn't know who else cared. You can't just start a conversation with your friends and family. It's not very easy. And so now you're being given a voice. You're being given an opportunity to not only come here and share the time with us, which we really do appreciate, but the time shared with your friends and family who want to ask questions. I mean, those questions, the importance of you being there to answer questions, especially with everything that we're seeing. I mean, like, who do you talk to about this stuff before? And now we all have friends. We all have a platform. We all have a place to gather and things to discuss, and they're interesting to us together, which creates momentum in the vibration. We're trying to change the momentum of the vibration here. We're trying to elevate the vibration from doom and gloom, low level, slow, sad, boo vibration to high and spirited and alive and free and ready That's where we want to be. Elevating your energy is how we escalate this movement, literally by that. You don't even have to leave the house. You just have to hold a higher energy and hold the belief system that we are going to take our country back, and we'll manifest it along with the help of a lot of other people, but you individually are extremely important.
Yes, you are what we've been waiting for, Shady.
True. That's right.
Yeah. We, you, all of us, all of this. Knowledge is power. Somebody asked to just play that again. Let's go ahead and play this again, Shady.
As I've said before, this aspect of our strategy was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Oops.
Nice 17-second clip, Deep State.
And oops.
Oops.
I'm going to go ahead and tweet that because that's awesome.
Well, I just had, I can't remember who it was. I'm looking right now, but a person out there put up Bill Gates on one of the late night shows saying we're producing child death.
Oh my gosh. And that was, there was also 1997, I think. I saw an interview with him saying that he funds depopulation. And obviously we saw that one when he was at the TED Talks saying, oh, I wish I could get carbon down to zero, meaning he wants people to zero, and everybody clapped.
They're just so,
it's so disgusting.
They're so mind controlled. Like everybody's just like, oh yeah, okay, like a walrus in the freaking pool.
I know. These
really,
TED people, the TED people are deep state. You know, it costs a lot of money to be in that audience with Bill. I got beat up on the playground. Gates.
Yeah, with Bill Deep State Gates.
And remember, let's just who is Bill Gates? Well, IBM would have had a monopoly, right? So they gave Bill Gates, because his father was chairman of the board of Planned Parenthood, guys. Okay?
A eugenicist, no less.
A known eugenicist. So they gave him DOS. Okay? He didn't invent it.
He was granted it, just like Jack didn't invent Twitter and Mark Zuckerberg didn't invent Facebook.
And where was IBM in World War II, Shady? What was IBM doing in World War II? Do you guys? Let's just look at just what we know, guys.
IBM was in charge of managing all of the people in concentration camps, tagging them and marking which ones had which shots, and keeping a tally on all the people that they were capturing in the genocide in Germany.
Correct. So they were doing mind control experiments on the Jewish folks there that were in the concentration camps, and they had little numbers on there, and IBM helped with that. Okay. So Bill Gates then inherited DOS. Then he made Windows, acting like he's the big smart guy that did it. He didn't. Just like Zuckerberg didn't invent Facebook, dude. 3 guys smoking bongs in a freaking college dorm did not make Facebook.
Well,
DARPA
yeah,
did.
considering that we found the actual blueprints for Facebook going back to like the early 70s, I would say
LifeLog, right? Yeah.
The LifeLog is Facebook.
Yeah, it's just amazing to me that people don't get it. And then so now Bill Gates, is this screaming kid that got beat up on the freaking playground, calling for depopulation.
And like I think I mentioned on the show yesterday, with the stuff going on in Africa right now, they're coming at his foundation hard. At the same time, the number 2 donor to the World Health Organization is Bill Gates, and now he's the number 1 donor.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, now keep it.
Because America just said, we're not giving you any more money.
Keep you and your freaking Shivas, guys.
And yeah, I'd like to speak to that for a second real quick.
Yep.
So I kind of got a few people coming back at me with the comments that I made yesterday about Shiva.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to maybe speak about the statue and what we're seeing and the stuff that Q is showing us and what CERN is and the goddess of destruction. I understand the stories, guys. I get the stories. I know what the dogmatic stories say about these gods. I get it. I know what the current I know what the dogma says about the people holding their hand out around the Vatican. I know what the dogma says about the people stepping on people's heads in the statues. I understand the stories behind it, but I would like for you to pull out of what you've been told this stuff means and start thinking for yourself about what it means. look at things that you see, images and symbolism, with objectivity as opposed to dogma. And once you start to do that with a lot of the stuff in your environment, you'll really start to see that things that are being presented to you and stories that have been told to you for centuries and centuries and centuries are just that. They're stories. And most of the time, a story is given to you to hide the truth. I just wanted to put that out there.
What do they want us divided by, Shady?
They want us divided by religion.
Oh, interesting. So people are talking to you about dividing by
Religion.
Interesting. So here's the CERN. They're scientists, guys. They have a CERN, and there's that mock sacrifice. We covered this last week in our 1917 dig. What are shovels used for, Shady?
Digging.
And we even found the White Rabbit connection on CERN. Their logo is 666 CERN, and they've got a Shiva logo, CERN. Do you think that they made this deity? And it's poisoning of medicine, guys. It's an adversarial god,
right?
Isn't it?
And I mentioned that the goddess is standing on a young person there, and people were telling me that no, the goddess is standing on a demon there. Well,
okay.
Doesn't really look like a demon.
Right.
You know,
right.
I mean,
so
let's be a little bit critical. Let's be critical of what we're seeing and understand that the stories, the Mayan culture stories, the Egyptian culture stories around the world, there's all of them line up with sacrificing things.
Yeah. I'm just
where
trying
they
to
call
find
their power. That's how they've gotten their power.
Yep, they harness your energy. They harness everything, guys. Look at you can't even find anything about the Shiva post and who with QAnon.
No, it's not there.
Wow. So let's just go down a little bit here. So this is normal, right? Let me just see. This is normal. So you got the WHO that's supposed to be caring about our health. And this deity is something much different than we thought, right? There it is. I don't know, guys. I don't see the child demon there, do you? I don't know. Shady, I don't know, man. I just know that, you know, they think of symbols much different than you. Now, you know, Bill Gates funds WHO. So Bill Gates is talking about what, guys?
We need to meet a new constraint.
I hope Bill the
And
Gates
that
here.
constraint has to do with CO2. CO2 is warming the planet. And the equation on CO2 is actually a very straightforward one. If you sum up the CO2 that gets emitted, that leads to a temperature increase. And that temperature increase leads to some very negative effects. The effects on the weather, perhaps worse, the indirect effects in that the natural ecosystems can't adjust to these rapid changes, and so you get ecosystem collapses. Now, the exact amount of how you map from a certain increase in of CO2 to what temperature will be and where the positive feedbacks are, there's some uncertainty there, but not very much. And there's certainly uncertainty about how bad those effects will be.
Guy's
They will
not a
be extremely
scientist.
bad. I asked the top scientists in this several times, do we really have to get down to near zero? Can't we just, you know, cut it in half or a quarter? And the answer is that until we get
How do we
near
get down to zero, Bill?
the temperature
Come on.
will continue to rise. And so that's a big challenge. It's
Their
very
own
different than
mouths, guys.
saying,
Stop-
we're a
stop breathing.
12-foot high truck trying to get under a 10-foot bridge, and we can just sort of squeeze under. This is something that has to get to zero. Now, we put out a lot of carbon dioxide every year, over 26 billion tons. For each American, it's about 20 tons. For people in poor countries, it's less than 1 ton. It's an average about 5 tons
People.
for everyone on the
This is great,
planet.
guys?
And somehow we have to make changes that will bring that down to zero. It's been constantly going up. It's only various economic changes that have even flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation
Are
has
you
4
awake yet?
factors, a little bit of multiplication.
Press 17 if
you've
you're
got a
awake.
Thing on the left,
You just
CO2,
Bill
you want to get to
Gates.
zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's
back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Did you hear what he just said?
I heard it.
Who heard? Here we go.
We were building to something
New
there.
vaccines, healthcare, reproductive
Hey, wait.
job on
If we do a great job, new vaccines, healthcare,
reproductive
health services, we could lower that by 10 to 15%,
But there we see
guys.
an increase of about 1.3.
What do you think of that? Is that funny? What about the head of CNN?
Not doing it will be catastrophic. We'll have 8 degrees, we'll be 8 degrees hotter in 10, not 10, but in 30 or 40 years, and basically none of the crops will grow. Most of the people will have died, and the rest of us will be cannibals. Civilization will have broken down. What the few people who are left will be living in a failed state like Somalia or Sudan, and living conditions will be intolerable. The droughts will be so bad there'll be no more corn growing. Not doing it is suicide. Just like dropping bombs on each other, nuclear weapons is suicide. So we've got to stop doing the two suicidal things, which are hanging on to our nuclear weapons
and global
and then after that we've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
so what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people. That's why we have global warming. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff.
But
if there were less people, they'd be using less stuff.
Yeah, that's on YTV. Interesting, right? And he's talking about getting rid of you. And CNN, are they for freedom, you think, guys? You guys are seeing everything clearly now. Isn't it amazing?
I'm just letting you know, Bill Gates is not a doctor. He is not a scientist. And his father was a eugenicist. And he's on there talking about depopulation. And there's Ted Turner talking about depopulation. And you guys see it in pretty much saying that no one's allowed to take hydroxychloroquine because you might end up saving too many people. It was very interesting. I did see last night on X22 about the correlation. I think it was Julian's Rum maybe made the tweet, but the correlation between countries that have been getting the hydroxychloroquine to treat malaria aren't getting COVID.
Interesting.
So the eugenicist reality here should be very clear and obvious to what the plan is for you, a person.
And Gian to you is very smart here too, because CO2 is in fact necessary for plants. They turn it to what? Oxygen.
Oxygen.
Right? And it makes plants grow, and CO2. So no CO2 equals no oxygen. And by the way, do you know that human contribution to the CO2 in our air is less than 1%?
I think it's like 0.7% or something.
It might be like, was it 0.13%?
It's under 1%.
Something like that.
It's crazy low when you calculate.
So they want you dead, not because
they can live.
So they could live and be cannibals, like he was talking about.
He told you he was going to be a cannibal. He basically told you he was going to turn you into cannibals. And if you take a closer look at the food supply, you might not misunderstand that so much.
And also, people are made of carbon. We're also 70% water, and they've poisoned the water, folks. And hydroxychloroquine, guess what the chloroquine does? It's used to purify water.
Yes, and that is why it helps. And I'm seeing lots of stuff, like after digging into this more thoroughly, like this touches on everything, man. I mean, I think that this might be the linchpin of all of the different things that they've created, like all of these things that are in our world, like fibromyalgia and lupus and Lyme disease. These things are much like Wuhan. They're laboratory created, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to break it to you. And even the disease of AIDS are laboratory created. So it's very possible that this hydroxychloroquine that filters and cleans water, your body is 70% water, will have an amazing effect on the state of humanity at large. That's right. Why the deep state is turned every gun on the idea that, governors, ban this stuff. Don't give them. No, if you give them, they're going to live longer. Whoa.
Wait, we don't want them to live longer. You see how these people are sick? Guys,
5.
This is
and
one thing I got to give credit to Alex Jones, is that I actually got the Alexa Pro Pure water filter, years ago, and gave it to my daughter. She drank it. She's got a high IQ, because there are Harvard reports saying that it decreases your IQ by 15%, 10 to 15%. That is true. And so this Alexa Pro Pure water filter doesn't only take out, the fluoride, it takes out the pesticides, which is Roundup, which is hydrofluorosilicic acids. It takes out bacteria, viruses. It takes out chlorine. It takes out lead. It takes out heavy metals. Over 206 contaminants that this thing takes out. And if you go get your little pure filter from Publix or Jewel Osco or, wherever you go shopping, that won't take out any of these on purpose, folks. On purpose. They want you dumb. They want you stupid. And this is part of it. They are poisoning us, as we all know. So get over there to My Patriot Supply and get yourself a Pro Pure water filter. I guarantee you will like, even your filtered water, put a glass of that and a glass of Pro Pure. You cannot believe the difference in taste. I'm telling you right now. I have one.
And My Patriot Supply is a sponsor on the show, and so use promo code intheMatrixx with 3 X's if you guys go over there, and that helps us out a little bit.
Yep.
We have been demonetized here, and so supporting our sponsors would be a blessing for us.
Yes, all you got to do is use this link, Shady. That's our personal link, okay?
Yes, sir.
And thank you very much. And then also we've got a new one, Magazon. Let's just talk about Magazon while we're waiting maybe for another Q drop or the POTUS. This is Magazon right here. This also benefits us. This is where they're kind of moving red pill living over. Let me see if I can. Magazon. That's the, let me see, open link in new tab, but it changes right away. I don't have the link, guys. You got to go into that other folder to grab it. Yeah, there you go. Let me just see if that opens it up, Rocket Girl. Nope, it doesn't open it up, Rocket Girl. There's more to that. Hang on. So it changes the link, but this link for Magazon helps us as well. Everything you get over here will help us. Let me go over to the link folder here real quick. 1 second, guys. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Because, obviously the YouTube, they shorten links. So if we as mods grab that link, it's wrong because it's shortened. So let me grab it right here. It's My Patriot Supply, and I'm going to drop it for you mods as well too. But this actually helps us too. We have been demonetized here on YouTube just before Out of Shadows happened, and just before we gained 12,000 subscribers in the last 28 days, Shady.
Yeah, as soon as we start to actually build as a channel without them taking away our subscribers, then they demonetize. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, while we're waiting on the president, maybe we should go into a little bit of the Alice in Wonderland thing that we were digging into.
Oh, yeah. That's another interesting thing. Somebody yesterday threatened to, oh, by the way, that Shiva was the head and director general of the World Health Organization and sitting there with China, guys.
Just saying.
China. You got to say it right. China.
China is asshole.
You do that pretty damn good, dude.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm laughing my butt off here. Here we go. So let me go. I think I'm almost there. Oh, I wanted to remind you guys of this post, 29. The pedo networks are being dismantled. The child abductions for satanic rituals, i.e. Haiti and other third world countries, are paused, not terminated until players are in custody. We pray every single day for God's guidance and direction as we are truly up against pure evil, folks. And I just wanted to remind everybody of that post. That's Q post 29 on 11/01/17. And
it's part of the kickstart that got us all moving.
That's part of it, right? That's absolutely part of it. Here's Out of Shadows in German, folks. Dankeschön, says Brad. Yeah, Brad Martin. Yeah, that's him. Filmed it. Yeah, that's him. And here we go, Shady. What about this? Yesterday, there was a plot, and he was arrested, to blow up Central Park's Alice in Wonderland statue, Shady Groove.
I find this interesting on its face just because it was targeted, but we also kind of dug in a little bit deeper to the history of this. This is a depiction of the original Lewis Carroll book and the characters in that book. It was put here in Central Park in the mid 50s, if I'm not mistaken on that. But as we kind of look around New York and where this statue is, we sure did find some interesting things, like what runs underneath this statue, Matrixxx?
The Q line.
The Q line runs under this statue?
Yes. And
Good
some
call.
pipelines and everything else. And by the way, it's a 7-minute walk from Epstein's apartment.
So do you guys think that this is used by them to train or to relax those that they're trying to subdue, say younger people, as you walk them to the statue? Why would someone want to blow up this statue if it didn't have some sort of meaning to their personal pain?
Yeah. Look at
Think
this
about
video
that.
of it. Isn't that wild? Look at the video, Shady.
It's very intricate and extremely hypnotic,
Yeah.
much like the original story.
Yeah. It's very interesting, guys. You know, this is something that, like, why is this a message? You know, who, and by the way, the gentleman that wanted to blow up this statue's last name is Fallon, Fallon.
And whenever we were watching some of the above video, we were noticing that the place that it's located kind of looks like a keyhole.
Yeah, it does. It
You know,
does.
because it's got the round, and then it goes down to the odd shaped, almost like what you would think in a keyhole.
Yeah. And see that there? It's round. Yep. And then so Mad as a Hatter Manhattan Man was arrested for threatening to blow up Central Park's Alice in Wonderland statue with a pipe bomb, according to cops and sources. Would-be bomber Kevin Fallon, 30, went down the rabbit hole April 9th when he allegedly sent a text to friends and family announcing his intention to blow up the 1959 bronze go look up Q-Post 1959 bronze statue depicting the Lewis Carroll's tale, famously fraught Tea Party court document show. On Saturday, he allegedly sent loved ones, including his ex-girlfriend and his father, photos of a pipe bomb and rifle ammunition, along with a chilling threat to look both ways before you cross the street. This is going to hurt. None of you are safe. I am lethal, according to court documents. Another missive included a photo of an apparent pipe bomb with a wristwatch attached to it and said, "The alarm clock bomb is for real. When I give it to him, it will be filled with powder and ready to detonate," according to court records, which identify him only as one of the people he was texting with. The NYPD conducted a wellness check on his Upper West Side apartment at his mom's request on Saturday, finding 3 pipe bombs, rifle ammunition, multiple knives that he held that had been taped together, sources in court documents said. Both NYPD Emergency Services Unit and Bomb Squad were called in and found that the bombs were not functional, sources said. Later that day, Fallon was tracked to a hotel in the Theater District, where he was taken into custody by the New York, New Jersey Regional Fugitive Task Force, sources said. He was arraigned on Monday, and his charges including making a terroristic threat and criminal possession of a weapon, according to court documents. Fallon is being held on Rikers Island with a bail of $50,000, and his next public date will be on July 13th.
A couple of things. One thing that was interesting, I don't know if that's the article, if that was the one or not, the New York Post, but one of them had statute, not statue.
Wow.
Which I thought was interesting. But and the 1959 lines up to a post about China. A little bit relevant, talking about that it wasn't hacked, that it was granted, access was granted. But yeah, that's very interesting. The whole statue thing and the history of that, and the reason that it kind of caught our eyes so much is because Alice in Wonderland is in 30 posts.
There's Wonderland right there, 30 posts.
And they're all connected to Hillary. You know, most of them are connected to
SA is Wonderland, HRC is Alice, and who was Mad Hatter again? Tory? Marty Tory.
Marty Tory, yeah.
Yep.
So they communicate in this Wonderland. Part of the mind control. See, understand that Hillary Clinton is under mind control, just like Bill Clinton.
Hey, Shady, what are you talking about?
just like Joe Biden, all of these people are engineered in some interesting way where they do not disobey.
Yeah.
They do the narrative. And so here you're seeing Alice in Wonderland. Look at all these places where Alice in Wonderland connects to Hillary. We have the attack, a quote, attack on an Alice in Wonderland statue in Central Park,
Yep.
where there's a queue line running underneath it. And we have tons of connections to Alice and Wonderland, the Q post.
Look at this
and
one. Hillary
the mind
Clinton in
control.
Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Look at that. It even says Lewis Carroll. Keep going.
Yeah, it sure does. And that's part of that thing, because a lot of people, guys, I'm just telling you, you're under mind control as well with watching these stories. Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, all of these different things. They are exceedingly over analyzed for the mass impact as possible on the human psyche to bring you under their control. And this is part of what we're seeing break down, I think, in our society. I know a lot of you guys probably saw the Orlando Brown interview yesterday, or the rant that he went on yesterday about Michael Jackson and Will Smith. If you watched that, what you were watching was multiple alters starting to break down as he's starting to learn what's really happening to him. And then he was being threatened in the background of being accused of doing what it was that they did to him. The mind control starts to splinter, and the different alters kind of begin to bleed into one another. And the person who's experiencing this cannot organize themselves. They cannot understand what is happening. And this guy, I don't know if we're going to really play it.
Yeah, we can't play it. It's pretty bad. But, they're not playing the whole video clip here either. Shady and I actually took time to watch the whole clip. So this one is he's claiming that that Will Smith raped him and said that he was mind controlled to think that he was Michael Jackson, Will Smith. But then as the video goes on, he comes out of that altar and starts talking, with a feminine flair, if you will. Yep. And starts combing his hair with the pick and everything, and talks totally different and says, I was just kidding, and all this stuff. And you basically see him mutate into another alter. You should watch the whole thing for the full, what do you
5
call
minutes.
it? Yeah, the full 5 minutes for the full. If you see this, you're going to say, oh my gosh, he accused Will Smith. And I'm not saying that he didn't, but the one alter knew that the other alter was saying that, which is a lot of times the alters don't know each other, so this is very interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we're seeing it on.
It's funny how people say POTUS is on and he's not.
And it's interesting how we're seeing so many different aspects of this starting to break down, with the other celebrities and stuff, as they're seeing that they're not in control, or that they're scared, or they start to have real emotions. Then they kind of start to come out of it and flip out, and then they're trying to be controlled, and then they kind of flip out even more. So I think that we're going to, we remember we played do you guys remember seeing Alex Jones a week ago? We showed him change. He changed into something else right in front of you. He said, "I like you, and all this is not crumbs and BS."
Right.
And he turned into something different. He turned into something that was out of control. Whenever you're programmed to understand that you're completely, totally, always in control, the moment you experience a little bit of out of control, it flips a switch, and you become something different. And that's what you're seeing happening. I think we're going to see that in a lot more people in the near future, man. I mean, it's breaking down, and that's part of the process is breaking down. And I've worked with people of SRA victims and who are under mind control, and to bring them back into the real world and to understand and interpret what their real world is not easy.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, people, this is strong.
States, accompanied by the Secretary of Transportation.
Now POTUS is on, guys. How about that?
Now POTUS is on. Let's check out what Donald Trump has to say to us, because he said
check it out.
Today's going to be a big day.
Oh, but wait, our RSBN went on two hours ago. They're on. We know when he's on, guys. We got you guys. We got this. Let's check him out.
He's got some trucks there.
Oh, I love it. Here we go, guys. Let's check this out.
Beautiful stuff. They are beautiful, beautiful trucks. That's the real deal. You wouldn't switch jobs with anybody, would you, huh? Yes, sir. You wouldn't. I know the truckers. They wouldn't switch with anybody. It's what they love, right? That's why they're good at it. These are the best, too. Well, thank you all for being here as we celebrate some of the heroes of our nation's great struggle against the coronavirus, our brave, bold, and incredible truckers. And look at that equipment. They're the best made, and great companies also, and companies that have really helped us a lot. We appreciate that. At a time of widespread shutdowns, truck drivers form the lifeblood of our economy, and the absolute lifeblood. For days and sometimes weeks on end, truck drivers leave their homes and deliver supplies that American families need and count on during this national crisis, and at all other times. They're always there. Their routes connect every farm, hospital, manufacturer, business, and community in the country. In the war against the virus, American truckers are the foot soldiers who are really carrying us to victory, and they are. They've done an incredible job. We've had no problems. It's been just great, and we want to thank you very much. It's really great. We have a little special award too. To every trucker listening over the radio or behind the wheel, I know I speak for the 330 million plus Americans that we say, thank God for truckers. That'll be our theme. Thank God for truckers. On this special occasion, when we honor the truck drivers of America, I'm grateful to be joined by Secretary of Transportation Elaine Chao, who's doing a fantastic job, and the CEO of the American Trucking Association, Chris Spear. Secretary Chao, please say a few words. Thank you. Thank you, Elaine.
Mr.
You can move that if you'd like.
I'm a little bit shorter, so. Mr. President, thank you
Sorry
so
about
much.
that, guys.
I am so pleased to join the President in honoring America's heroes, our country's truck drivers and trucking industry. The whole country is cheering you on. Without you, it would be impossible to keep our economy moving and get food, medical equipment, and essential supplies to where they need to be. The U.S. Department of Transportation has been hard at work to help you do this difficult job for our country. At the President's direction, we have reached out to the trucking industry on an unprecedented basis, listening to your concerns, providing regulatory relief, and helping ensure that truck stops and state rest stops are open and food is available. We are so grateful for what you do. Truckers are playing a heroic role in helping America cope during this crisis, and truckers will be a critical part in helping our economy recover once this crisis is past us. The administration is here for you. Just let us know. So a big thank you to America's truckers, their families, and to the entire trucking industry for keeping our country moving. You are truly America's heroes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Elaine.
We got a new cue drop, guys.
From the moment the invisible enemy landed on our shores, America's 3.5 million truckers have never wavered at all, and they've never, ever let us down. When we supply our country, we supply it through truckers, and supply chains were stretched thin to hospitals and cities and states. They needed massive convoys of supplies. The truckers kept on going day and night. Didn't make any difference to them. They had to get the job done. With us today is Charlton Paul, a driver with UPS Freight from New York and a leader in the Teamsters Local 707. I know the Teamsters well. I've had many a concrete truck in New York delivering to my buildings as I was building them. Charlton, I want to just thank you for the great job you've done. I have a little special award for each of you. And please come up, tell us about your experience. Please, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Secretary Chao. My name is Charlton Paul. I've been with UPS for nearly 25 years. As growing up, the only thing I wanted to do was sit behind the wheel of one of these massive trucks. It's an honor in having a role in part of fighting this coronavirus. I'm an America's Road Team captain. I'm an UPS All-Star. I drive 606 miles every day from Newburgh, New York to Brookville, Pennsylvania. I recently carried 180 gallons of hand sanitizer made by one of our customers, Prohibition Distillery in upstate New York. Some of my colleagues of UPS Freight have been delivering barrels of hand sanitizer to the New York City Police Department. I couldn't be more proud of my team. I'm also honored to be here representing more than 495,000 UPS workers worldwide to get essential supplies to our frontline healthcare and emergency responders every day. Lastly, my hat is off to the entire trucking industry for keeping our country and our economy moving. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
This is beautiful. Come on over here. We'll take this. This is for you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
And thank you very much, Gerald. Appreciate it. Great job. We're also joined by Dylan Madigan, a driver for DHL Express, who's been delivering personal protective equipment to hard-hit areas of New Jersey. Dylan, please say a few words. Thank you.
First, I would like to thank President Trump for inviting me here today and for his outstanding leadership of our country, especially during this pandemic we are facing. For myself and my colleagues at DHL Express, who are picking up and delivering essential shipments every day, we are on the front lines, but we also know that our true heroes are the medical professionals who are battling to save thousands of precious lives each day. It is an honor to support them, especially in the Northeast, where I am based. Within the last month, I've personally transported hundreds of shipments of personal protective equipment and other medical supplies, including several large shipments of masks to a private home in East Brunswick, New Jersey, where the masks were all being donated by the thousands to our local first responders. I am proud to be able to safely support our customers, first responders, and healthcare heroes. It is truly an honor to be here. Mr. President, thank you.
It's been my honor. It's been my here. Just stay right there. I come out a minute. We got this for you, right? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Good job, Bill. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Keystone. Interesting.
Truckers move over 70% of all freight in the United States, over 10 million tons every single year. Truckers keep our economy running, and now in this time of national need, they're saving lives. Here is a very fine gentleman, Stephen Richardson, a member of the American Trucking Association from the great state of Tennessee. We love Tennessee, who drives for Big G Express. Stephen, please come up and say a few words, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. President, for having me here.
Thank you very much. Great honor.
I am Stephen Richardson, and I've been driving with a company called Big G Express out of Shelbyville, Tennessee, for about 19 years, but my total driving experience is 30 years almost. They are an ESOP-owned company, meaning we employee-owned. We own the company. That makes me very proud to know that I'm part of this organization.
And rich, very rich.
Thank you, sir. But also, in my time of driving in the last couple of years, I've been hauling barrels for a company called Jack Daniels out of Lynchburg, Tennessee. They make some of the greatest Tennessee whiskey, if I could say. I've had a few swigs here and there. But in times when the economy's running good, Jack Daniels makes great whiskey. But now that we're in this time of a pandemic, Jack Daniels has switched over to making hand sanitizer. And by me hauling the barrels, it allows the company on the front end to do something for agriculture in our area. It also allows the company to run and make hand sanitizer, which I think is great. I just want to say I really appreciate the 3.5 million men and women truck drivers out here that are running up and down the roads every day, supplying the essentials that we need, the groceries on the shelves, the toilet paper, etc., to keep our essential workers out there and keep them striving. I really think this opportunity to be here, and it means the world to me, and I would like to personally say I thank all the truckers in the United States. And I hope that if you pass a truck out down the road, get a chance, say thank you.
That's true.
Thank you for your time today.
That's true. Here you go. This is for you. Beautiful. Good. Excellent job. Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephen. In recent weeks, the American people have shown these devoted American workers the love and support like never before. Good Samaritans have set up food services near highways so truckers can get meals while restaurants are closed. It's an incredible thing to watch. Fast food restaurants have opened drive-through lanes for semi-trucks and truckers and some others that help us out. People have stood in overpasses and on top of highways, waving flags and cheering while they drive by, and billboards are rising above the roads all over the place. I'm seeing them all over. It says, "Thank you, truckers." I see them all the time. Joining us is an owner-operator who drives for FedEx Ground named Tina Peterson. Tina is an incredible person, an incredible talent, they say, a great driver. She completes an amazing 10 round-trip hauls with her husband from St. Paul, Minnesota to Dallas, Texas every month. They're a tandem. They drive together. Tina, please come up and say a few words, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since the coronavirus hit in the U.S., I have seen an increase in residential delivery of e-commerce at FedEx Ground. My husband, Dave, and I have had a family give us a meal out of the back of their pickup truck at a rest area that they put together for truck drivers. We've received thumbs up from motorists on the highways and have seen people standing on overpasses waving American flags to the passing trucks. The delivery drivers bringing packages to doors have been sharing photos of thank you letters, notes, cards, and sidewalk chalk messages telling us thank you for still working, thanking drivers for delivering what their families need right now. We recognize and appreciate the unique position we are in, helping to deliver aid and keep the economy moving during this challenging time. Everyone at FedEx would tell you this is who we are and what we do. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Thank you very much. Come right over here.
Thank you.
You ever say hello to Fred Smith at all? Do you ever see him? Huh? You see him, actually?
I think I've seen him at MCNE before.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. Very good. My administration is devoting every ounce of our energy to every fiber in our bodies to give a tremendous, really create a border, create something very powerful against this virus, this horrible virus, to heal the sick, restore the full force of the U.S. economy, and do all of the things that we're doing. And by the way, for the media, we have a very important press conference today at 6 o'clock. We're going to be talking about guidelines that have been very carefully done. We're speaking at 3 o'clock to the governors, and we'll be informing them. And I think they'll be very happy with what we're doing. They want to win this war, and we're going to win it. We're going to win it very, very big, and hopefully very soon. No matter what we do, there have been so many lives lost, but the people here have helped us so much, and I am so honored to be with them. That's why in recent weeks we've done everything in our power that we have to keep our truckers safe, fueled, fed, and on the road. And we're also working, I think they'll be happy to know because they know the roads better than anybody. We're working very strongly on an infrastructure package. And if we can get some Democrat support we're going to have a tremendous, you're going to have nice roads again, nice, beautiful roads again. A $2 trillion, potentially a $2 trillion package. We eased regulations so that the truckers could be freed to drive more hours and to transport emergency relief supplies, including masks and gloves and gowns and groceries. We worked with states to lift burdensome restrictions and ensure that all states' rest areas remain open to support these hardworking men and women on the road. And we also declared that our talented workers at private truck stops are essential employees. They are indeed. I don't know if you know that. Did you know we call you all essential? Very few people called essential. I don't know if they call me essential. I'm not sure about that. But you're essential. That I can tell you. But all truck drivers can continue to have warm meals and hot showers, access to mechanics, and a place to park at night. We postponed the real ID deadline and made sure commercial licenses, learner's permits, and medical certificates will not expire while DMVs remain closed. That's a big deal. And because nearly 90% of operators in the trucking industry have fewer than 10 trucks, our Paycheck Protection Program, which is a tremendous success. In fact, it is now depleted. $350 billion is now depleted, and we're going for another $250 billion. They want it. They have to have it. This is for companies to give and to make sure that they won't be letting people go. Keep the companies together and keep the workers and keep the people that really run those companies, keep them well taken care of. But we're protecting the jobs and wages of countless truckers employed by small businesses. Truckers are playing a critical role in vanquishing the virus, and they will be just as important as we work to get our economic engines roaring, which is happening very quickly. You watch. But once we get going, the truckers are going to be working so hard, you're not going to be able to take a day of rest in between, maybe a couple of hours. But they work hard, they work long. Nobody works harder, actually. I know a lot about trucking, I know a lot about truckers, and I know plenty of truckers. They're great people. With the same spirit of faith and grit and abiding patriotism that defines everything they do, we know our truckers will never let us down. Under any circumstance, they will never let us down. They're always there. They always have been. They always will be. They're very exceptional people. So I say God bless our great truckers. God bless every worker who is serving our nation in this time of need. God bless all who are sick, and God bless America. And thank you for being here. And Elaine Chao, I just want to say that we worked together long and hard, and you have done an incredible job as our Secretary of Transportation. And, you know, I have an extra key. I'm going to let the truckers decide. Should I give one to Elaine Chao or not? Huh? What do you think? Yes? I think so. I think we're going to do it. Where is Chris? Where's Chris? I don't know where he is. Where is Chris Spear? Come here, Chris. That's big power. Come here, Chris. Come here, Elaine. Do that. Come.
Thank you so much.
Let's take a good picture. Let's go ahead, honey. You take that.
Thank you so much, and that's Chris.
Come here, Chris. Thank you, Mr. President. Hey, Chris. I almost shook your hand. No, no. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate this. Thank you very much. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the keystone of our country is the American worker, folks. You, we the people. Wow. Just wow.
Seems like he's setting up for something, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Today at 6 sounds pretty interesting, huh? What do you guys think about that?
Does.
Wow, Shady. Wow. I wanted to, you know, we did get a Q post in the middle of that, and I think that's pretty interesting that he linked to that too. Obviously, it's right here on my timeline because, you know, I am in the Matrixxx and I've got all of them, since February 2018 on my timeline, guys, and I'm so proud of that. And I still have my account, so cross your fingers. It will be your choice whether to know Q. And it goes to Jack's status. And we went over this, I think, just the other day, Shady, no?
Yeah, we pulled this back up just the other day when we were talking about some of the
Yep. So here it is. It goes, making the good pasta, reading through some amazing parts of the satanic verses. The golden threads begin to intertwine.
Hello, Ed Jack.
Yep. Shady.
Now you're seeing. Now you're hearing from some Q people today.
And it's pretty cool that QAnon linked to that tweet from @Jack. And, here was mine last week. And it basically said, please watch this documentary and you will know that what the below tweet means. And perhaps you will know why we are all so censored. Pretty cool, right?
Pretty interesting that this is coming out and bringing up the Jack talking about pasta right after the Out of Shadows movie exposes the code words in Pizzagate emails.
Well, yeah, this was 2006 though, the Jack tweet.
Yeah, I know, I understand that,
but not a lot of people might have understood what that means, right? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly. Now people should have a better idea of what he's talking about there.
Wow, man.
New Q people that have just maybe even within the last 6 months may not have even understand what those code words mean, because Q hasn't directly talked about it, insinuated it, but Liz in the movie makes it pretty clear that they're not talking about pizza, pasta, and walnuts.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that everybody is going after Liz Crokin the most. Why is that, Shady?
I think it's because she's effective and she's over the target and she's damn good at what she does. That's just my opinion.
And Pizzagate is what they're most afraid of, folks.
Because it's right there on paper. They
it's
put
in
it
their own
right
writing.
in front of everybody, thinking that she would never lose.
What's Jack talking about here? Pasta? That's also FBI code, folks.
And that's why Q says that very specifically, it will be your choice whether to know.
That's right. And that's the Matrixxx post. I love that. Wow, folks. I think we are in for a lot of booms, folks. And, if anybody asks me if this whole Q thing is real, I'll tell you right now, it's real.
It's more real than most anything that we've been able to see. I think that the biggest thing that this operation has taught Anons is that there are no coincidences. Your life is an interwoven fabric of magnificence, and all of it has meaning, identical to how the Q map is the same thing. It all has meaning. There's no coincidences. We are here and we are having experiences out of a divine intervention.
Yeah.
We are being put on a path. We are being shown things. We are being instructed directly to help. That's what our job is. I know you want to. I know you want to see arrests, but that's not exactly what you're here for. You're here. You're here to help.
To take your country back.
You're here to pick up a shovel. You're here to pick up a friend. You're here to pick up a family member. You're here to soften the blow to someone. You're here to be an ear for someone who's just waking up. You're here to be an ear for code in tweets and for interesting things in Q drops. You are the filter, much like we have to filter out things that we put in our body. We're filtering out the things that we think. We're filtering out the dogmatic attacks on each other. If we could pull back for 5 seconds and just realize, do you really hold anguish against people of other faiths? No. If someone has a different belief structure than you, do you really have to not like them? Do you really have to think that they're wrong or think that they're bad? Is that real? If each religion base decided that all the other religious bases were okay to exist, then they wouldn't have a lot of ammunition to keep us divided, would they? They wouldn't be able to keep you divided. So that is, I think, a big part of what this whole thing means. It means something to each and every one of us. It means a little something different to each and every one of us, but nothing that it means to you is irrelevant, and nothing that it means to you is a coincidence. Nothing that's happened in your life is a coincidence. It all led you to where you are. And the beauty of that has to be understood. No matter how much they tried to poison us, no matter how much they attacked us, no matter how much stuff they threw at us, no matter what they put in our food, no matter what they put in the pharmaceuticals, the vaccines, none of it. You still saw yesterday in multiple states, including Michigan, a show of freedom where people are saying, we're not going to take this very much more. It's about time that you stop it, because we see the con, and the con is literally them attempting to take back control of these states, and it's not going to work because there's too many people out there that have the truth.
Yeah, somebody's saying that Chad is saying that the tweet is gone. Poussin's asking if I screenshotted it. Go check my threads, guys. I screenshot it all. But I think
you took it down already?
I think it's still there, actually. I don't know.
All right, I'll go. I'm checking. Let's see here. Check it. Click on it.
It's still there.
It's still there. Here, I'll drop you the link.
Yeah. So, chat, we'll drop you the link so you can see. Now, this is Kim Clements, right? This is like 2016, 2017 timeframe. But it's particularly amazing because he does say frogs, but he also says two things that also kind of get me as well. Tori says is calling. Hey, Tori, we're on the show right now. How you doing? No, we're doing a show. Do you want us to call you back? Or do you want to jump on? Okay, I'll send you a DM. I'll send you a DM with the link. All right, so that's Tori. But let me just tell you this real quick, guys. There's two other words I want you to hear. I want you to hear pizza and croaking. Ready?
And I constantly heard the sound of a frog croaking. I'm serious. And over, it sounded like it was a dangerous, large frog. Unfortunately, I had no further understanding of this. Most of you are now accusing me of pizza. But there's something about this noise that I heard.
Huh? She's a frog. She was an anon. She's exposing Pizzagate. Her last name is Crokin, and Q is posting. Let's see what we got, guys.
I did not put together that her last name was Crokin.
Right? Clear your mind. Heal. Q.
What was I just saying?
Clear your mind and heal. Above and beyond Great Falls. Stuntmen. I'm probably going to get banned for this, but let's watch it together, guys. Let me get this over to... Wow. Wow, Shady.
We are sound. Wow.
Just take a deep breath. I just took a deep breath. It's amazing. And this is, I believe it's the frequency, Shady. Let's just double check, show more. So this is through raised awareness, being more present, one can catch a state of flow, a creative and free state of mind where fear and stress dissipate. Above and Beyond. Flow State is a new album for yoga and meditation. So,
and that's what I was trying to tap you guys into earlier, is this higher frequency. Get out of the doom and gloom. Get out of the fear. Understand, I know we have all these things in our environment. We have chemtrails, we have 5G, we have HAARP, we have poison in the food. We have all of these things, and yes, they're relevant to talk about, but you got to balance. You have to balance that with love and healing and light. You have to raise that energy. What your job is to take the energy, the doom and gloom energy, and capture it in your hand and elevate it, please. Hold it up and make it vibrate at a higher frequency. Therefore, you begin to dissipate its effect on others. You're taking responsibility. Think about this just for a minute. Responsibility. What is that word? Are we here to point at these people are bad and that they have done these things? Or are we here to take responsibility for what our part was in allowing it to happen first? Therefore, you can start to heal. That's where the moment begins, is whenever you say, I'm responsible for everything that everyone has ever done, and I am looking for forgiveness inside. Once you can hold that in your mind, then you start to elevate others, and elevating others to a clearer, more gentle frequency will help not only their mindset, but their bodies, their physical bodies will heal as well. It's not as complicated as the medical professionals want you to think.
Yeah. And get out of programming. I see people, oh, it's yoga people, pseudonym brings a good
attacking people.
Yeah. She says a good thing. Christians do yoga too, folks. This is not about yoga. This is about this frequency, opening your mind and healing, folks. All right, and by the way, we've got a very special guest here right now. Tori says,
people aren't bad.
Yeah, yoga people. Tori says from Red State Radio. Tori says on every day at 1300 hours. I believe, is that you come on at 1 o'clock too, right?
Actually, what is it? 12 Eastern, 1300 Central. Yeah.
Gotcha. So 12 Eastern too, and she just got off her show here a little while ago. Glad to get back in touch with you, Tori. We've missed you, and apparently you've been dropping some bombs, guys. Everybody, welcome Tori Says to the show.
Hey, everybody, and maybe I'll take this opportunity to say, hey, when are we getting back to doing one together on my end?
Anytime.
That's the thing. We've just been playing text tag, phone tag,
text tag, DM tag. I know, and we're so busy too. Did you see that we've had the Out of Shadows guys here on the 9th? Then we had a live watch party with them. Then we had them on here when they got queued. And then we just had them on yesterday with Kevin Shipp, Mike Smith, Brad Martin, Kevin Shipp. And I surprised him with Joe Flynn. And I tell you, we made Right Wing Watch, Tori, and they said that I don't know how it got, so viral, but this show here, all these people here, we prayed on it and it went viral. And this show made Right Wing Watch. Tori, is that cool?
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, everyone's starting to talk. I mean, I did watch parties on Sunday, through my personal Facebook page to get my family and friends to see it. And then through my Tori Says page, and then shared it to a bunch of groups, because it's important that people are aware that this is real. And I was actually talking about that on the radio, you guys. People just don't want to see it. That's the thing. Right. They don't want to see it. They'd prefer to live in it because you can't unsee it after you see it, right? That's the thing.
It's true.
That is very true. Well said. And that's why I liked how that Mike Smith, he threaded his story, and right when he was Kevin Shipp came on and talked about the barrier of the mind that you have to cross over. Because you've been, lied to your whole life. And we're actually going through the stages of loss. Once you realize everything we know is a lie, I mean, that's really hard to handle, isn't it?
It is really, really hard to handle. Very hard. Because, how do you shatter someone's reality when our reality is being hacked? They have reality hackers everywhere ushering us with news, with media, with music, with advertisements, all ushering us into a box. So what is real and what's good stays there. Now, in regards to my drops, right, I just wanted to say I had an NDA that tied me to a private company in the US that popped this Sunday.
That wouldn't be the one that was in a Q drop, was it? That began with a T?
Yes, it
Wow.
was. And so, I've been working for the global part of it for a very, very long time. And, I not full time as of 2008, because that's when I saw something that shattered my reality. And, actually I saw the first instance of it and confronted Brennan himself, earlier than that. And so my last assignment that I had with this company was punishment, because it was the hardest thing I had ever done. And it was the most compromising for me. And, as a person and where I stand, and I thank God that I had good foundations, because there's so many people out there right now that I've, encountered, work with, that are sitting in cubicles all about self-preservation instead of talking, when people can actually use this umbrella that Trump has given us, right? With him being president, to be able to speak and say, and the stuff that I'm talking about now, I've been dropping for years.
Right.
In little bits, because then the right people pay attention and not everybody, like this money plane that you're scrolling through here.
Yeah.
This has been going on for years.
Do you want to take us through this, or is there another one you want to go through?
No, I just wanted to say, everybody hears Q constantly saying we have everything we need, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we do. That's why I'm putting it out there, and I'm like, who's going to sue me? I dare you.
Right.
Let's start subpoenaing the stuff at TAC, CGI, L3 Communications, Lockheed. Let's pull it all out, because it's all there. We already have everything. And then the question is, why isn't President Trump rolling them out, right? And everyone's upset. And it's like, because you can't just take the wheels off of a moving train or the floor, because...
And we'd like to save the train.
Right. Yeah.
Right. With the people in it, you don't want it falling through the floor. And it's like, we have everything. Everything is there. There is nothing missing. I could tell you blackmail that I've seen. I'm like, I'm envisioning one day that I may have the privilege to sit in Congress and testify. And, when they ask, I could say, hey, you want to talk about this first? Because I remember seeing that. You want to talk about it? Maybe we can ask the State Department to pull it up.
Right.
So, these are conversations we should all be having, and people should be coming out and talking. Okay, so now I want to watch where you guys are. You were that clear your mind. Do you know what that symbol is, you guys?
Tell us.
369. That's how you get anti-gravity. So this is a mathematical symbol that's used, and that's why it's so intriguing. I mean, the music was awesome, but
and it also seemed like it was in 432.
432 megahertz. So he says, clear your mind, heal, and leads us over to this. So that is 369. You're absolutely right. Here they are. Wait, this is an ad. I know. Above and beyond Great Falls. Here we go. So that's 369. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, that's the mathematics.
Wow.
And that's the math, and that's the mathematics of the world, the physical world that we're living in, that's been hidden from us for quite a long, since its discovery, really, because it frees everything that they control. The 369, the ether, the energy, it's around us. We've been suppressed to not access it, to not use it, to empower ourselves in our message. And I think that's one of the reasons we've been so effective, is because we try to stay in that higher plane, that higher vibration of what's really going on.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that out of the shadows, I'm just saying, that was an incredible masterpiece.
It was a masterpiece, wasn't it?
It was perfectly told, it was perfectly put together. It was eye-opening. And, like they said, a lot of people are like, well, where's the proof? Like, what do you want to do? Walk in on someone while they're doing that? I mean, the proof is there, it. And the proof is actually in the addition of proof, and them running to debunk things when they can't debunk something they haven't even they don't have anything tangible to debunk. I mean, how do you explain I have these kids in a warm pool for you for your entertainment? Like, who says that? In what context?
No one.
Right? And they even say their names and ages, which is even more bizarre. Yep, totally.
I've got a 7 and an 8-year-old. What happened to Johnny and Susie?
Right. And we're seeing, Orlando Brown. I saw previous Instagram posts where he's talking about all these, Hollywood people assailing him as a young kid and his own children. And, that's pretty incredible that they're getting braver to start speaking.
Well, we were talking about that just a little bit ago, and I'm assuming that you saw it as well. You're seeing the mind control break down and the different alters start to interact as he's coming to realizations that they're trying to spin stuff around on him.
Did you see the full one, Tori?
Which, his full video?
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes long, and he went into another altar. And yeah, go ahead.
You could see that, through trauma is how you can control people, right? And, one day, a lot of people that have worked for the IC or for companies like mine, which are actually private companies that are IC, right? They're government, but they're not really government, right? Because all your information is sitting somewhere in Luxembourg, and anybody that has the money and the power can access it, period.
Exactly right.
That sucks. And that's what Brennan did. That was his job. That's what he did. He created it, he put it there, and it's the central nerve. It's like the nerve center for everybody's information. But what they do is they condition people, because I know a lot of people in the IC, and I'm thinking, well, what's wrong with you? What's different with me that I can sit there and call this stuff out? Why can't you? You've got 6 kids, right? You've got 2 dogs. You've got a great family life. Why don't you want them in the future to be safe? You're going to be gone one day. The protection you give them because of your job won't be there anymore. Why? Because they condition you in that way of fear. And I myself am struggling with the fact of how naive I was. Mm-hmm. How, I just...
They took us off.
Right. Yeah. No, they just assumed...
Oh, we're down. Like, they took our stream off, Matrixxx.
Did they?
Yeah, we're off.
What?
They just disconnected our stream.
I'm here. I show us on.
I'm everybody out there saying we're off, and I'm showing off.
Just refresh. It says stream unavailable. You're right. Stream suspended for
God,
policy violations.
Oh my God, I'm the policy violation. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now we're live. Wait. Let me just see if we're live again. Stream unavailable. You're right. No, we're live. We're live.
Okay.
All right, guys. Welcome back. We were, it just said stream suspended for policy violations, but we are back. Thank you, guys. 5-5. We're back.
Whoa, that's interesting.
Whoa. I guess somebody doesn't want me talking.
Well, Brennan's like, hit the button. Hit the button.
Hit the record button.
Right. So we're good. Wow. We are good, guys. Wow.
Sorry to interrupt you, Tori, but I just noticed it right when you were in the middle of speaking there, which was very interesting. I'm sorry you missed it.
Yeah. So let's go back. Let's talk about it. What are we talking about?
What were we talking about? I got thrown off. It's obviously, I'm just saying that I struggled. They kept me in a box too. No matter how smart I am, they really did keep me in a box.
Wow.
And I'm realizing more and more because, it's like as if you're in a ping pong and they keep you distracted so you can't see things. And Millie Weaver's a friend of mine, right?
Uh-huh.
So I got with her and we sat down and kind of did it more so we can have the B-roll so people can see the stuff, right? So they can understand how this happens. I pretty much said, this is the way they work. They put you in this box and you're ping-ponged and distracted so much that you don't know what's up, what's down, and you're just focusing on just getting the job done. And they loathe anyone that's patriotic. I mean, I remember the words he said. He told me that I should know my place. Well, it's about time he knows his.
Right.
And God for
yes.
Thank God for that. Tori, this is amazing because, we were on your show and, I kind of, we knew that you knew a lot. And you did kind of say stuff kind of in a roundabout, almost in a coded way. And you were able to use Q to kind of get some of it out, right? So I think it's amazing. So now your NDA is over and you can basically say anything you want.
Well, yeah, I can, but I always have to be careful because there's a lot of information that's been entrusted with me. And so I took an oath. So for
Sure.
that, I'd love to tell people what I know and what I've seen about Oprah or Hanks or all these people. And for me, just so you can imagine, and a lot of people are like, gosh, you're so like pessimistic and so da-da-da. And it's like, dude, it's like your best friend who's like, cheating on her husband, and she's sitting there preaching in front of you, don't cheat. And you're just like, what?
Oh my God.
The eye roll. Every time I see these politicians, every time I see these performers, that's all I can see. Like when Orlando Brown was going off on Will Smith and he was like, every time I see you, da-da-da, that's me taking remote controls and chucking them to the television. I'm like, just stop already. Or Jake, and I feel sorry for them too. Like Jake Tapper, he didn't ask to be born into it, but he did have a choice to stick with it or not, right? Let's be honest.
At some point they must have a choice, and that's why Q posted this, with Jack. It will be your choice whether to know, and that's obviously to us, but Jack had a choice too. He didn't have to sit there with pasta and read satanic verses, right?
Oh my gosh, you know what? I actually retweeted that a couple weeks ago.
I did it 6 days ago.
We did it on the show just the other day.
Because you know what? Jack is out in Africa right now.
Yes.
And what people didn't put one and one together is he was hacked in August, right, last year. And suddenly he decides that he's going to leave for Africa. And it's like, what's up with Africa?
And he laundered his money through a COVID-19 thing. He donated to COVID-19, laundering money. Do you see that that's what they're doing too now?
Well, Africa's a black hole. It's called the dark continent for many reasons. It's called the dark continent because they have no power and, they're not connected, but also it's a black hole of money. I mean, when people find out that my New Year's show, I told everyone, this is the year that Africa comes into focus.
Mm-hmm.
And that we realize the atrocities that we have committed. Because when I told people that I have a file, miles long on, Epstein, I was not kidding. I have seen Epstein, followed him around. I not like literally followed him, but I've seen him. When you see a private jet land in somewhere that's supposed to be a war zone and being treated like some general, it's like, okay, who is this dude? Like, that's where you cock your head and you're like, okay, I need to know what's up. And everybody keeps thinking Epstein was like the super pimp. Yeah, he was a super pimp, but what was he really doing? It wasn't just trafficking kids and women.
Right.
There was more. And that when that comes out, or what Tedros did, which I'm so glad that we've just banked the WHO, right? But Tedros was the health minister of Ethiopia. And one of Epstein's biggest projects was in Ethiopia. So there's so much money. Think about, when you think of AI, what country does Ethiopia tickle you?
No.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Ethiopia is making my top 10. It's not even going to make your top 100 of nations when you think of AI, yet they've poured billions of dollars into it. There is a whole Ethiopia AI program. They have a huge program. You can, you have to just put an I up there. I'm like touch screening my non-touch screen.
With just the I, right there?
ETHI.
Oh. I misspelled Ethiopia. Got it.
Google funny. You should be using DuckDuckGo. What are you doing?
I don't know.
So just put artificial intelligence. You'll see that they're very advanced, but I have some stuff on Epstein that I'm going to kind of try to put together because I see that people want video. They want explanation. And, see, there we go.
Wow.
Ethiopia to become Africa's artificial intelligence giant. This started years and years ago, and if you put Epstein in there, more will come out for whatever's still there.
Now they keep talking about deep fakes. What do you think of that? Is that part?
Yeah, you're seeing it every day, though.
Yeah,
that's what people don't see.
I think we saw Tom Hanks as a deep fake. Possibly that's what people are saying.
Definitely. But I think this year what we're going to see is a little bit of an eye-opening thing. You see that?
Oh my gosh, guys.
I'm just saying a lot of people don't see this stuff. I have documents all over this with that. But I actually went to Ethiopia to kind of see a few things, because whenever I would pick flights when I was traveling for assignments, I would always pick places and I'd give myself at least a day layover when I was going around the world because they thought that I was just a snob that wanted to like hang out or whatever. Which is true. Whenever I got Italy, I would make sure that I can hang out in Milan extra to check the shops. But it was more so for these things, to follow up on things like Macau. I would always take an exchange flight to Macau because I wanted to pay attention to things that were going on in Macau. That will be coming into focus soon.
So what is the deal? Why are they? What Ethiopia and AI? What is that? What?
it has to go back to genetics.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, because he wanted the perfect race, right? As well.
Well,
that's what they all kind of are trying to engineer.
Yeah, well, no, they're trying to engineer something that they engineered by accident and didn't know they engineered it. They're trying to create artificial intelligence without like merging. It's the transhumanism thing that they've been kind of focusing on. Take a look at all the Harvard professors that would engage in Bill Gates and what they've been doing. This is huge, but more so what they did was they used clones to do it. And so I know it sounds out there, but some of them are just for spare parts. I mean, look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
Well, look at the main ones. Look at Joe Biden. Look at Hillary Clinton. Like, look at the way that they're acting. I mean, all of these quote.
Hey, Shetty, I'm glad you did not bring me up because I'm 100% real.
I've seen you in a trance, Bill.
No. They don't walk
in the 90s.
They're like more for spare parts because, even if you clone a human, because I've done it, I not cloned a human, but I work with the guy that actually I went and learned because I was so intrigued, you guys, when I got out,
Look at this. CGTN, this is Africa Live, is funded in whole or in part by the Chinese government.
There you go. You're seeing it now. See how the pieces.
Enemy at the door.
Yep. Look at that. Wow.
And it does play back into what you're talking about with Africa and the non-bringing into the first world of reality. It's so much deeper than many people realize. Like if modern people were traveling to the continent of Africa a lot, then people would start to be seeing a lot of historical.
There's Ruth Bader Ginsburg right there.
People would start seeing a lot of historical things that don't line up with the historical record on that continent. And that's part of what they're hiding. There's so much going on there under the surface that no one sees. And obviously they've been using it as a breeding ground for stuff like this where nobody can notice.
Well, the clones, the way they're created is for spare parts right now. And, when I saw what I saw and I said what I said, because it was just like, you've got to have some line that you don't cross, right? Apparently these people don't have any.
No, there's no line.
Yeah, no, because we're worthless. I was the drudge. I was the person that they would send out, not just by myself, but other people, right, for their specialty or what they've been trained to do. And, when I saw this, I was just like, dude, like, maybe it's because I was a young mom, and I kind of panicked. I was just like, what is going on? Think about it. The spare parts. I mean, and then, we have to think, do clone lives matter? Like, think about it. Everybody can laugh, but I actually studied under the guy that invented the way. That's what I did. I got myself into student debt to learn more, to see how I can fight it from, on my own as a citizen.
Right.
Because, and drop things and mail things to like DOJs and whatnot, or people that I think are a little bit woke to, take lead and do something about it. And I actually learned the tech. Wow. I know how to do it. I've actually stripped a cell from DNA and inserted a different one. And this is a real thing. And hopefully this will be coming out very soon, first, before everything else. Because I think this one is digestible at least.
Yeah. What do you think about the hydroxychloroquine? Would that help and not help the people that have the spare parts, quote unquote? I mean...
It doesn't. It actually has a high affinity for people that have spare parts. So that's why we see people with lower immune system and people that have had transplants too, in general, have certain receptors for it. I mean, I was talking about hydroxychloroquine to my listener base before anybody even knew about hydroxychloroquine, because it just so happened that I took a class with the guy that discovered that if you take malaria drugs and you have sex with an HIV positive prostitute, you can't get AIDS. You can't get HIV. So it was resistant to transmit viruses. And I talked about that, kind of like hinting, because I couldn't really talk. It's weird. How do you tell people this? Suddenly they put on a tinfoil hat and they're like, sit over there in the corner, please.
I know, right? And you've been there working with the companies and, thinking that you're going to do good. And all of a sudden you see all this horror. I mean,
and what she's saying there leads right into what we were discussing earlier on the show, which is that this is a maybe a cog in the wheel, or like the center of the wheel of all of the genetically engineered things in our world, like lupus and fibromyalgia and all these different things are connected back to an antidote.
That's right. And here we are on TorySays.com, guys, and I'll just drop that link for you as well. Very nice website. It's looking really good, Tori.
Hey, you'd be surprised what you can learn on the site. I mean, I'm wearing so many hats right now. I don't even know what day it is sometimes.
Oh, with this quote unquote quarantine, I don't even know what day is it. I have no idea what. I'm like,
my quarantine's wearing off.
My quarantine. I did not get my Lyme. The Corona. Matrixxx didn't get his Lyme. But what about that? That hydroxychloroquine heals malaria, like you said, possibly HIV. What about like Lyme disease? They were talking about MS, quite possibly. Fibromyalgia.
All these things were created in labs, and they all have to be created backwards from something that adjusts them, so that whenever things happen to the people they don't want it to happen to, they have a way to undo it. And so this is, like it's reverse engineered from the antidote. All of the stuff that's spread from laboratories is reverse engineered from the antidote.
So Tori, when he says we have the cures, when the Q team says we have the cures, we really do.
We have all the cures. There is not one thing that we cannot cure. And that's the thing. How do you tell the people that we've had all of these, right? We've had all of these.
60s and 70s.
Right. From forever and a day, and that we're reverse engineering medicines to remedy other things, so that way we can control facets of the population. And how do you tell the people that we have all the cures? Because you know what happens? The people start to revolt, and they'll go nuts. They'll start foaming at the mouth, and there'll be slaughters, because not every mind is at that point where they can fathom that yet.
So question, is the Trump card saying we have the cures? Or is the Trump card coming up today at 6 p.m. when the president takes the podium and says, hey, I'm closing Congress, shutting you guys down,
Congress.
Adjourn so I can pass my damn things like Obama did in 2017. What do you think that the cures, how do you think this is going to come? Because, here's a Q post here. Difficult to imagine the Democrat Party attempting to squash all hope for a cure. What do you think Trump card could mean? And could it mean something about cures? What's your thought?
Well, okay. So first of all, I have to say the president is doing exactly what, I consider myself a good game theory person, self-proclaimed. I mean,
yes, game theory.
Assignments that I've executed and with such eloquence where no one, I think I'm pretty good at it. And I actually wrote an opinion piece because I was so PO'd where people were like, tell us what you're going to do. Tell me. So I did it on the weekend, like on the fly, right before I was watching Out of Shadows. Right. And, I said the best decision he could do is just hand the reins over to the governors, which is exactly what he's doing, because then their own constituents will cannibalize each other.
Correct.
President Trump to come in there and help. And this is where I saw that the reporter sitting in the audience asking him a question probably reads Tori Says or listens, because I said, here's where he's going to be like, oh, you want that one, the opinion one, President Trump's best decision not to make one. Yeah. So I was like, he's going to say, you want federal aid, you need help. All right, here's what we're going to do. You're going to show me why you need help. Oh, you have coronavirus victims. All right, guys, can I see, did they actually die from coronavirus or was it a shark attack? I want to make sure that we're spending our federal dollars correctly. And are you violating civil liberties? It sounds like your people are asking me, Newsom, to come in and help them. I guess I have to impeach you with my executive privilege and let them vote for a new person because you're obviously not doing your job. I mean, that's the
right.
That's
going to hold them accountable, and let the people show that they're slackers, right?
Well, yeah, and we somebody brought up in here that the cure costs 10 cents a dose. That's true, and I'm also seeing a lot of other people in here saying they killed my mother with chemo and all these different. This is what we're talking about, everyone.
Yeah, they don't want you to be healthy. They want disease care, guys, and that makes them rich.
Right, and you don't understand that the vaccines is the entry point. Okay, so the vaccines that they're giving you, when Matrixxx and Tori and I were younger, we did get vaccines, but we didn't get these vaccines that they're giving kids today. It's insane. I think there's like 80 of them they're trying to give kids that you just have no idea how much stuff is in it. It sets up for the later in life deterioration because of the older generation. Let's think about this logically. We have an older generation in America. I'm in my mid 40s and above, that mostly understand, respect, and love the Constitution. We have a younger generation in America that are, say, 35 and below, who were under 20 when 9/11 happened. These people have a completely different perspective. They're a lot easier to control out of fear. They're a lot easier to think that, they don't have any right to speak up. And so this is engineered for the older populations. As you get older, then you start to deteriorate. And all the people out there, the people that have donated to cancer, the people that have donated to all this research and trying to help family members and all of this stuff, what if you learned that was all a slush fund? What if you learned that every penny of that went to them and none of it went to a cure because they already know the cure? Think about that. That's going to make a lot of people very, very angry, and they're going to wake up quickly once we start getting larger exposure on this. And Out of Shadows did a great job on the lead in to every conversation we're having here, Tori.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And the thing is, viruses are endogenous. So, the thing that people need to know is if it comes from within, then the within can battle it, right? Because you create it. And
correct.
so, when people see that, these vaccines are being grown, did you see the executive order that President Trump signed just a couple of days ago about vaccines?
Yes.
Yes.
So he's talking about chicken eggs and stuff,
Yes.
which means that he's like, oh, you want to stay with vaccines, you got to use that. But that takes forever. We need to find new ways. He didn't mention the fact that H1N1, like if you're Muslim, you should be upset. Because if you got a flu vaccine for, in 2008 and 2009, you have pork DNA now because they use porcine cells.
Wow.
To grow the virus and to give you that vaccine. So, how big of a violation is that? Or Jews? Was it kosher?
And they did slip in too that the people that got the flu shot, a recent flu shot, they didn't say the date, but they said people that got recent flu shots were more susceptible to COVID. They let that slip at one point.
Yeah, of course they would, because it looks for altered DNA. They're altering our DNA. That's the purpose of these vaccines.
Yes.
If you actually take a look. I got fired from the CDC because I told them that. Why are we using porcine cells to cultivate them? Though the vaccine is, obviously we can grow it in the laboratory faster, so that way we can see how we can maximize inoculation, right? We have to convey it with porcine cells, and even though they're stripped from the DNA within, there's still remnants on the outside, and retroviral means it rewrites DNA. So, I made that concern, and so the Monday when I came in, Timothy Cunningham just was like, "I'm so sorry, Tori." I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "That's fine." Oh, who, by the way, ended up dead, face down in a river when he whistle blew. Remember?
Yeah.
CDC.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was like, I actually tweeted about him just the other day for the story from the Gateway Pundit I put back up because that happened a little while ago. And sure enough, a couple of hours after I reposted the Gateway Pundit 404'd it.
Wow.
I also,
they really.
I also published one like, hey, are we going to talk about the whistleblower report from the CDC guy? I did that just a couple weeks ago when they started pushing this coronavirus, because this was all planned. This is an infodemic. That's what I call it. A plandemic, infodemic. Yes, it's deadly, just like everything else.
Right.
But I didn't get any Obama dollars. No one shut down schools and churches for H1N1. And that was actually had, from what I see from the genetic code, a lot more efficacy. This virus, though, has sticky feet, which means it looks like it's a piggyback. You know how you have, what do they call that? What's the term that they use when they create platforms that anybody can use? Something like something platform for apps. What is it called? Like not open source.
Yeah, open source, right? No?
Yeah, it's another word that they use. API.
There we go. API, right.
So this virus has a really long chain of adenine, and it looks like it's been seamed with something like maybe graphene, only because the code seems a little bit odd, the way it's oddly shaped, like from where I've seen on the, scientific websites. So I'm like, this is obviously designer, because all coronaviruses are designer, right? But it had sticky feet. So the length of it and the way it seems to be like a platform so you can piggyback other things on that are specific. Because that's what the A's are. They're sticky feet. It's like a tail where things can hijack on and add more things. So that was very peculiar for me. And, no one's talking about it, but it's not like everyone's weird like me to sit there and explain that stuff.
Somebody's asking about fenbendazole or something like that. Somebody's asking about, can Tori talk about FENBENDAZOLE? I don't know if you know anything about that. Another question here is Rezalo. Is there anything for post effects of Agent Orange? Uncle has autoimmune problems due to Agent Orange.
Well, there's a lot of
questions out there.
Yeah, well, the medical questions I like to steer away, because I don't want people to say that.
Yeah, because you're not a doctor.
I'm not practicing doctor or anything like that.
Right.
But that's actually just to parasitic medications that they're well, not Agent Orange, but the other one, anything azole is usually for parasite. And now the thing about, I can say that the thing about this specific medication for malaria that was cool is, like, I want people to understand the way this works is that it builds a wall around your blood cells. So kind of like picture your blood cell as a castle, and the medicine digs a moat so nothing can get in, hijack it, or kill it. So, and it's got full of alligators, so nothing can touch it. That's basically what the medication does.
Wow. That does paint a nice picture of what's going on. And I was just talking earlier about how they were pointing out yesterday that the corona isn't growing at all in a lot of the equatorial nations around the globe, simply because they already have access or have taken hydroxy for malaria type things in the past, and so it's not, they're almost immune to it.
Right. Yeah, they are, and they have antibodies as well that they grow, because malaria is a parasite that hijacks. It kind of like hitches a ride on your blood cells till it gets to the liver, where it actually starts to populate. That's basically. I've taken anti-malaria drugs many times, and funny that you say anti-malaria. Did you see Rita Wilson complaining? She was like, "Oh my gosh, I took it and then I couldn't walk. I was walking funny." And it's like, all right, then not take it and die. Why is she making a whole story about it? Let me tell you.
I don't even believe they had it.
So I had a story about the CIA was telling people, warning against the hydroxychloroquine and telling people not to talk about it just before all this happened.
Yeah. The thing is, we knew about the coronavirus coming. This was, for me, I knowing how they think, I believe that this plan was to round us up in gulags. We would have been seeing each other in some place, and we'd be like, shoot, you're here too? Okay, we're in a lot of trouble now.
Do you think we boomeranged it? Because obviously, it seems like they were trying to give it to President Trump. We see the unplanned airline stops, Hawaii. We think about, this could have gotten a lot worse. Back in 1917, it was typhus that the Germans were laying side by side, and then they'd send them all over the world to infect people. That was 300,000 people. That's why I believe POTUS keeps saying 1917, because there was a forgotten pandemic called typhus before the Spanish flu in 1918. And also in 1917, there was a big tunnel war going on over in Germany, and it had the mother of all bomb explosions, non-nuclear, DEFCON 1. And the guy's name was Plumer. When do you call a Plumer? But just very interesting to see that I think we picked up the virus, for lack of a better term. We picked up the grenade and threw it back at them.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I don't remember. What was that event that the president had where they were praying? Oh, my gosh. And there were songs, and he said, oh, you need to stream this. And they were playing music. And he said, oh, you need to watch this or something. Do you remember what it was? I have to look through my timeline. But you know what the first song was for anyone that jumped in on it?
Huh.
When you take something meant for evil and turning it into good. There's the president talking to us.
Wow.
So I think
yeah.
It was a song. It was like a church service. It wasn't for Easter. It was before Easter. It was something else. And he was like, oh wait, when did he go to church? Was it around my birthday, because I remember I was like, come on, they're fiddling their violin, play the violin. So when Dan Scavito tweeted out that picture, I was like, oh my gosh, he did that on my birthday. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, oh, violin play. But it was right around there, around March 8th, March 7th, that he had something with some church service that he went to. And then, you know, you could see it. And there was this really good looking black guy who was singing, like, you know, Christian music, so awesome, right? And it was like, he was singing, he turned what was meant for evil into good. And I played that on my radio show too, because I was like, oh, this is him telling us that something that they wanted to use against us is being flipped boomerang onto them. And this is exactly what he did. And I believe that he used this for his benefit, for us. You know, everybody on, looking right now and watching your YouTube video or will come later, to go digging, because he paraded around those clowns like nobody business.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Burke, Scarf Lady, crazy Scarf Lady.
Fauci.
Fauci. Wait a minute, look at all your specialists. They're like 2 million are done. He's like, oh my gosh. So I better get boats. I better give them stuff. You're so right. Look at your specialists. Oh, 200,000. Well, that's great, but it's good that we have extra. Oh, 60,000. Well, that doesn't sound right. And everyone's like pulling out. Bill Gates. We funded the Chinese COVID-19 virus with 3.7 billion US federal tax dollars through Fauci's machine.
Yes.
So this is how you do it. And Fauci's last thing, what was he doing? He was putting his hands up. Everyone's like, that's the Mason signal. I was like, dude, in common language, that's I surrender. And that's why we haven't seen him since yet. So.
Wow.
And it's complete 180, turning it on its head. So he is really showing us, as we've all been at home, okay, look, I'm paying attention to the specialists. Okay, wait a minute. Why is New York adding 4,000 people to the list automatically in a day whenever it's known that these people have died from other causes? It's not likely you died from corona. You either did or you didn't.
Right. That's where I parsed it through. I was like telling my audience, there's got to be a reason. There's got to be a motivator. And until I had the time to sit down and look at the CARES Act, that's where I saw the motivator. Holy crap. I was like $100 billion. So that makes it to be 108,000 per bed. That means everyone you label as coronavirus is free money.
Yes.
Yeah. And so everybody gets money. It's like, that's art. That's what we call in the IC community art, where it's like they're painting a picture so they can distract you with like disinformation. And in essence, they've got nothing. That's why we need to audit. I was calling it, they're laundering the debts. I was saying that in the beginning of March, they're laundering the debts. There's no way, because it was so dramatic.
Do you see this video? They just showed up a pig.
Yep, because they use pigs to cultivate it. That's the most.
So, real quick question, and make sure you get over to Mike for us, or Scott. You make sure that, like, if this is our last show on YouTube, that we got a spot on Red State Radio.
For sure, why not? Stop, but why not?
It looks like they just did something to it.
Well, no, it was me. They needed to intercept and record it in a different way, track the IPs and all that stuff. You know how that goes. Happens all the time. And, when I tell people that, they're like, you're just paranoid. And I'm like, they have not seen me.
Well, no, because we've had some similar things like that happen. Things that we were talked about on your show, Q dropped as well. I mean, we've had a lot of cool things happen to each other, and I'm noticing it happen here as well. We got demonetized just before our channel exploded, Tori.
They're going to do that, and that's the thing. They're going to continue to do this as long as we let them. And the thing is, we have to be there right by our POTUS, right, searching and making it known what we find. Like, I haven't had the ability yet, but we should start talking about how the FCC gave a 6-month, tentative ability for Google to hack the underwater cables going to Taiwan. Because they said, if can't have access to the underwater cables, because I know a lot of people think high tech, but your internet, phone, email actually goes through underwater cables. So we have them on the Atlantic side and the Pacific side. So now Google actually put that through to the FCC, and they gave them easement to be able to, piggy on those, on those cables. That's terrifying. That's like full.
Because you can have optical cable taps, wire taps, and you can do that anywhere in the country.
And who's going to be, and how do you know that the person that you're going to send that's part of your counter cyber or whatever, right, isn't on their payroll? I mean, Google owns everything. It's like Jabba the Hutt. They own everything and its mother. So, I mean, they funded CrowdStrike and no one saw that. That happened way back before the election.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't quite realize the impact that organization has, or what the power that organization has. You know, everything's downplayed. We've went through so much of it with the Q drops, but man, they've got their hands in so much more than just what we know.
Yeah, you can't imagine how insane they are trying to figure out who's part of the Q team.
Oh, I do. I can tell they're freaking out. And this Out of Shadows thing.
Well, wait, isn't it Steinbart? Don't we have that already confirmed, Shady?
Well, I actually interviewed Steinbart. I'm just gonna say one thing. For me, dialogue lets you see exactly
who they are.
Yeah. So, you know, nothing to say there. But one thing I can say is that I can attest to this, that he is a federal agent.
Yes, we saw him 2 years ago over with remember Veterans? What is it? Yep. Veterans on Patrol. Remember those guys in Arizona?
Down in Arizona. Yeah, he was out there trying to get them to fire their weapons so that he could make it seem like there was stuff going on that wasn't.
Yep.
No,
Holmesmith, Craig Holmesmith.
I can't speak to that, but you know,
we got a video.
People that get them the most hate are the people that I want to sit down at a table with, because you know, maybe I want to show off the training I got in Huachuca, right?
Right. So he's a federal agent trying to discredit the Q movement, quite possibly.
Nobody knows,
Yeah.
But you know, you take someone at face value and it's their, you know, I mean, you could listen to my interview with him. I didn't really want to know about Q. I know everything there is to know about Q. I'm good. I wanted to know what he knows. And, you know, he talked about quantum computing and time traveling. And we all know that I call myself a time traveler. So I was quite intrigued that he used that term and that he talked about quantum computing, which is something that I've been describing to my audience, you know, over the past 2.5 years. So I found that very intriguing, very interesting, because quantum computing does exist. And that's the whole goal of what, you know, these nefarious people want to do, is create, you know, the best quantum computer is between your ears. But the thing is, how do they program it? They can't. MK Ultra stuff is all, you know, input like sound, touch, you know, causing you stress, but it's not an actual writing of your software. And they haven't figured out, well, they may have accidentally and don't know it yet. So
This right here is the IBM Q System 1 quantum computer.
right. So
The big one is the D-Wave.
right, but do you guys know where they keep most of their servers, like Google and all of them, to actually
Denver?
create things? No. Think of where it would be the cheapest to have
Water.
the size of Rhode Island amount of servers to be able to crunch the data they're crunching right now. I mean, what's one thing that we know about our computers? They need fans, right? They need to be cool.
Fans and water cooled. Yep.
Right. So where is a place that you don't
Antarctica?
have to? There you go.
Yeah.
That's why they consistently travel down there.
Mm-hmm. Because you know how much data they have on us? Like right now, if I had your profile that GSG has, right? Okay. If I had Shady's or Matrixx's profile, I could probably tell you where you're going tomorrow.
It's pretty scary once you start looking at it.
To this chair at 1300 Eastern.
Yeah, that's why I'm so good on predicting my things. You know, tell me when I've been wrong. I was talking about Venezuela before you knew about Venezuela, right? That's one of the biggest ones that I let simmer in the back, right? But every single thing I've said is completely on point, not because, you know, because I time traveled. That is what quantum computing is. It's predictive mathematics.
Well, back in the day, I told everybody to sell their 401k before Chavez wants to get his gold back, and that's exactly what happened. And they would have tripled their money instead of lost it.
And someone in chat, QC the Bob says, what if Q was AI? Well, we're pretty sure that Q is AI. Like they're working with Palantir. Like what you're seeing is Palantir working against Google, and they're plugging in all the information and getting feedback and using this as a way to set up and structure against the cabal, like against their system. So we, to some degree, are aggregating information using AI systems.
Well, I always said Alice ain't got nothing on me, you know, because it is all a battle of tech and how you use it. And this is why, they changed their timeline, the Democrats. They had a pretty sweet one if they backed gang. You know, the cabal had a way out of all of this rubbish, but they decided to stay with the old order. Guys, have you guys ever seen that show, American Gods?
Is it called the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory?
No, they're not going to have it on a map. One day maybe we should all get
150
together.
server data center. Look at
Crowdsource. No. It's on the part that you're not allowed to go to, the one that nobody ever claims.
Right. Gotcha.
I mean, let's see this. I've said this, okay, and I'm planning this. So, we can all go together. I was thinking I'm going to crowdsource and say I know a guy that has a satellite. I'll rent space. I'll have a satellite camera. You can even watch me sleep. And you fund me to go there. You own part of it, because that way we can force them to say why we're not allowed to go somewhere that nobody owns and we want to claim it as our own.
Well, if you're going to try to go to Antarctica, you're going to have a tough time.
No, not really.
Just don't come back with a black eye.
But they don't, because
you'll go with me. That's the point. I want to go with a whole bunch of people. Obviously we'll have the commandos and people will see me getting the bare necessities.
We got a couple stuntmen.
Right. But we'll take real people that, are survivalists, but I'm fine. I mean, I stayed in North Dakota. Antarctica's nothing.
It's not really. Yeah, but it's not about that as much as it is about the way they do not let you in. Like if you're going to go do a cruise or anything like that down there.
But I don't want to do it.
I'm saying they stop everyone. Like you're
Right.
not. They're not going to let you go.
Right. So what do I do? I take my flat earthers and I take my round earthers, right? And everybody out there who's like, well, wait a minute, this is a planet Earth and we have a huge continent that's unclaimed by anyone. Why can't I go there? So you have to tell me why. What if I had the world crowdfund me to buy my own ship to go there, buy my own plane, go cameras, rent my satellite space? People watch birds waiting to hatch in a nest for 24 hours straight. They're not going to watch me talk smack and fall down on my fat butt when I'm trying to cross the ice. Of course they will, especially if it'll prove if the earth is round or flat, and we'll see what's there.
There's only Kiwi and I are already in the middle of working on chartering to circumnavigate. We have the theory that if we can circumnavigate Antarctica, we're on a globe, and if we leave and don't come back, we're not.
Right. But the thing is, why not do it live? We have the technology, right?
Let's do it. I'm down.
Well,
you might actually see yourself again.
Who knows? We don't know. That's the thing. We don't know, right? They're not letting us, so why not go? I mean, this is the age of information, right? We're lacking information here. We have this whole continent. Let's go claim it. We'll call it Q country. We'll call it whatever we want. We'll call it Freeland, Freeland. I mean, we have Greenland. Let's do Freeland. And we go there. They're going to have to come up with an excuse as to why we can't cross, the sea, why we can't enter. I mean, it's like, okay, why are you guarding this? Is it yours? No. So step aside, please. Give us an excuse. And you know what? Probably when this gets, the minute I land in Argentina and I have a team ready to go and we have our brand new boat that some, guy who's with great investments, it's like, you know what? I want to know too, buys us a boat so we can go there and we're streaming this live for the world. And they say, oh, by the way, suddenly there's disclosure, or suddenly they tell us why we can't go. Paperwork is there. This is how it happens. It's not like they're going to shoot you if you're with 20 people and you're streaming live from the minute you leave the US until you get to the boat, going down to Antarctica. We're going to see it. We can go see it with our eyes. Who tells you can't do it? Nothing's impossible. Nothing is impossible. So, that was an idea. And I thought, we can actually get this done, but I have to wait until after the president of the United States is president of the United States again. Because I think that would be one of the biggest movements we could do with a bunch of people. I mean, that's been my dream. That was actually my goal when I was intrigued, when I went to the Falkland Islands. I was like, oh man, I sat at the tip of Argentina and I was sipping a coffee and there were penguins. I was like, dude, why are there penguins only on this place? That's impossible. It's kind of like kangaroos, but I'm like, I don't know, something's off. And, I would ask questions and nobody would answer them. So I'm like, when I turned 40, I'm going to do I'm going to have some guy like Jacques Cousteau pay and, take me there because I'm interested. And then I thought I'll crowdsource. And then, obviously I'm 2 years late to my goal, but, I've been distracted with other things. So what? What? No. No, I'm not. I'm super not. I'm super not. I'm actually, you have to add 4 on that. Yeah, I know I am. I'm 42. I'm 2 years late to my goal, but that's because I was distracted with life and things have been going on. But this is tell you what's going on. Right. Well, okay, so I can tell you what's going on. So this will take it back to Peter Strzok's dad.
All right, hang on. So I was muted. I was in the Matrixxx. So basically, I'm asking her about Hassan Rouhani. There's 78 Q posts, and I'm asking, what? And we said, POTUS and the Q team seemed like they're asking for the people to rise up, but it was kind of quashed. And then I just handed it over to her. What does she think is going on in Iran? I'm sorry, I was in the Matrixxx.
Yeah, no, I know that's totally fine. So I can actually tell you what's going on. Like straight out tell you. So 1978, Peter Strzok's dad actually was part of the insurgency where we, put the regime that you see up now, the IRGC, and set it up out in Iran. That was his job. That's why I had broken that article on Big League about Peter Strzok was raised in Iran. I was the one that broke that story.
Right.
Because that was something I could break because I found something that was public record. So they can't say that I violated an NDA or anything like that, So I always try to find something in the public sphere so that way I can bring it more to light when I was bound, for state bound type thing. So this is what happened. So the IRGC was really placed there to make sure that they can control the interests we had, because Iran was actually designated in the late 70s as the primary source to enrich uranium into a certain percentage. And then so people that don't understand energy, because I work with energy, so I'm cleared to work with energy. Basically, you have uranium and then you enrich it. And you enrich it to, let's pretend it's, what has gradients? Oh, let's pretend it's like cup measurements for baking, right? So you want 1 cup. Well, 1/3 of the cup is, sifted in Iran. Then you take that 1/3 of the sifted plus the 2/3, and then you take it to Russia, and then they sift 2/3. And then Russia takes it and then sends it to France, and then they sift it all where it's like high grade uranium, and then it's supposed to come to Westinghouse, but Hillary Clinton likes to sell it elsewhere too, and then kicks back to Brazil. So there was this whole network that they created. So the people of Iran have been held hostage under clowns. So there are 2 governments in Iran. There is the government of Iran, and then there's the government that was created to govern the government of Iran. So they have their own deep state, which is higher than the rest. That's why the IRGC do stuff, not the people of Iran. So if the people of Iran felt that they had the power, because people don't, we see, oh, well, this guy died, so I'm going to die. Like for me, it's like, what are they going to do? Kill me? There's going to be 20 million people, and they already know that I have backups. So there we go. But this is the thing. People need to come together. Together, you're strong. They're few. We're many. You can, I'm surprised that no one, walked into the house and dragged Pelosi out with her hair, just to say. I'm not promoting that, but I'm just saying, look how many people are out in the United States. There's 325 million people.
Right.
And we have like a handful, 500 clowns running the show, making money off our back and doing what they want. Why are we allowing this? That's the question. It's because we're not united. See, just like President Trump said, why are the Democrats so sticking together and not the Republicans? That's because they work on blackmail. That's their currency. Everybody blackmails each other.
Right.
That's it.
And it's been going on for centuries.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. There is no one in the house right now. Well, except for some new people that I've seen a few things, right? That isn't, that there's no blackmail. Last night, I actually dropped a huger bomb about Shiv. I don't know if you guys remember, but last year I was telling everyone, no, that there was no whistleblower, right? I was the only one saying that, the only one, until the president started saying it too, right?
Yeah, he started calling Adam Schiff the whistleblower.
But he is the whistleblower. And
I know.
I know. And the thing is, it's like, I did it the day before my birthday because that's the day that Schiff got one of the phones. So, the silent circle, the black phones, you can't get them in the US, right? I mean, you could get the phone device, but you can't get the service. The service, well, you can, but you really can't. I can't explain it other ways. But it's like an exchange server. So you can only call each phone on that network. And, I'm not going to confirm or deny, but I maybe have heard how they formulated it. So I knew that there was a wiretap because they use walkie-talkies, closed walkie-talkies. And I had a username and password. So whatever. I knew the day he got the phone.
Wow.
But, you can't say these things. How do you say it? You have to put it the right way. That's why I dropped it and I showed, look, I'm a member of that group, and I put that picture of the silent circle in there. So that way they can see that, here it is, because I would then use that, and then anonymously print off mine and send it off to the Justice Department. Maybe you need to look and see if Adam Schiff has one of these phones. Maybe you need to look if Yovanovitch was communicating with one of these phones. Maybe
so
you need to...
Q says we have the cures. Think expand your thinking. Think BlackBerry and all that stuff. That's interesting, right? What else do you think they're doing with these phones besides communicating? Is there anything else?
Well, no, they can just communicate.
Okay.
And the only person that you can access on that phone is someone that's on the enterprise. It's like enterprise servers, exchange servers, at work. That's what I was explaining to my audience today. It's like when you're like when I'm on the hospital server and I want to send an email, right? I'll put in the name Josh, and then 20 million Joshes come up. And if I want to, because I'm bored, I control every single Josh. And if I open up their contact card, I see everything about them, who they communicated with last, email, website, number of kids, marriage, the whole 9 yards. The phone's the same way. So it shows you group chats that happen. If you know where to look. So this is how I knew that Feinstein had called in her little guy to draft another letter, just like she called him in to do the whole Blase Ford BS. That's why she sat on the letter. So it was the same guy that did it, and it was Schiff coordinating. And, it was all a wiretap because they actually were wiretapping. I mean, it's not like Schiff is going to come out and say, we've been using the NSA's networks.
Right.
Yeah, he's not going to spill that beans that.
But that's what we gathered as Anons from the Q drops, right? We gathered that. We figured that out, right?
Been telling the world everything
in
little bits, and people are like, "Oh, this hasn't happened." It's because we're taking it way too literal, and predictive analysis or telling you things are just so they could be markers. So when you see this, you see it. Sometimes it's just as simple because. I mean, I had a whole conversation with a couple of listeners and a friend of mine because they keep saying, what do you mean like parsimony? Are you saying simple? And it's like, yeah, it's Occam's razor. And I was so happy to see Q finally put it up there.
Yeah.
Because the simplest answer is usually the right one. Human nature and nature in general is not that complicated. And the bottom line is if you use Occam's razor, you can see that there's always a motivator. Hence, like in the coronavirus thing, it's money, but it's also concealing the indictments and the deliberations that are happening at the grand jury. I mean, if you're home and you're a reporter, you're not standing on the courts because you think they're closed, but they're not. So
amazing. Wow, my brain hurts, Tori.
Oh my gosh, no. But they're not. They're like black.
No, well, you've got a lot of information. You've been amazing. You've been a great, person. We've been on your show, 2-3 times, I think?
Yeah, no, and you have to come back. Like, we've been playing, like, phone tag. That's why I, reached out. I reached out to Shady, and I was like, oh, my gosh, I, changed my phone, because they get hot sometimes. I don't know. Trying to hack my phones, and it's like, dude, I'm not accessing.
I think they hacked my last phone.
Well, I have my daughter's phone. Just when we were doing the rap thing with with Millie, and she was over at my place. My daughter's phone just started to go nuts, and we're like, yeah, well, we have firewalls now. So I guess my kid needs firewalls, even though I never use her phone.
As well, I met Millie at Orlando, and she was awesome. And I'm a big fan of Millie. Just so you know, I thought it was genius when she went to the parade and she sang Mike Pence for president, and they're like, what?
Gosh, I
They're
know.
like, that was genius.
And I had an interview with her, and that footage got released to Discord to discredit me.
Well, she's incredible, and no one's
Yeah.
just. You know what? Nobody can just see. That's one thing.
I mean, they can't do. I mean, what are they going to do, right?
What are they going to do? Discredit you to who? To people that don't know you?
Right.
Because if people know you, no matter what anybody says, you're there. It's kind of like President Trump, right? What are they going to do? Discredit him as a president? Are you listening to any of them? No, I see actions, and I see how he treats you, me, and everybody else.
Yes.
So I'm happy with that. So people need to get off the whole, oh yeah, discredit this. No, man, I own my stuff. The problems that are in my sphere, I own them. What do you got to say about it? Nothing. So step off.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's how everyone should be, because your interactions are different, but we do have to be careful, because we're seeing a lot of this, I heard you guys talk about it, how, we're going to see a lot of people flipping sides, and they've been flipping for a while, slowly.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. You should tell your listeners, like, who have you seen flip,
Right.
To be anti-Trump?
Right, because people just think never Trump just went away. No, they haven't. They're still there, and they're still anti-Trump. They're acting like they're pro-Trump, but they're not. So, and
Totally.
we've seen, we've seen a lot of them in front of everybody's faces even today. But we're not going to, we'll wait on that, because, we're not here to attack anybody at this time anyways.
No. And we shouldn't even attack them. Actually feel sorry for them. Because, for me, like, now, once my NDA popped, I'm going to tell you, I had blue check marks pretending, to some no-name account, DMing me, oh, I'm just interested in finding out. I was like, go do your own homework, and I called them by their name, and then suddenly the account was deleted.
Oh my gosh.
How did she know? And it's like, dude, I know everything. I'm better than Alice. So I everything. And that's what I tell them, and they hate it, because when you reach out to people and you're concerned, or you're trying to see where they're going, right?
Right.
And you have this parlay, you can understand their footing from dialogue, right? So some people have been, my biggest fear, you guys, is being retweeted by the president. I think you guys feel the same way, or would you like that? Because I would hate that.
I would kind of love it at this point, because I got over my fear after I made the Hillary top 200 list, and me and my family were doxxed. I got over all that.
Oh my gosh, I'd be terrified. Are you kidding? I'm like, no, just
I'm on a Clinton list.
I prefer you copy and paste a tweet that I put out and then tweet it as your own.
Yeah,
and
make it your own. There you go. So you'd be okay.
I'll be like, just so on them. But I would never want this, because they're so, like, the Daily Beast. The guy, Will Somner, is like insane. It's like he eats.
Oh yeah.
Q with foam in his mouth. So everyone hates Q. Everyone wants to discredit Q, and everyone.
And they act like Q is a person, and Q, is a team, right? As we know, but it's the questions, it's the answers, it's the movement, it's the pride, it's more than just a person. Q is fake, is what they say. Q, Q, like they're trying to act like it's a person. Are you going to trust a nameless, faceless person, or are you going to trust me?
Why? We trust God, don't we? I'm not saying that Q is
boom,
God.
but exactly. And what people don't realize is that the Q is what we've researched. They do not want to admit Q is real. That way, we'd have to go into our archives and say, oh, Q is real, so all of this stuff is true, and point to all the facts that we've all, as Anons, thousands, hundreds of thousands of them, have been gathering all this information, connecting all the dots where we never knew what the dots were before. Now we have them all connected, so we understand the plan and the 40,000-foot view, and even deeper. I mean, it's amazing.
But think, what is a quantum computer, guys? Quantum computer is a computer that can take many, many aspects and points and then crunch it and make sense of the data, right? So Q is literally everybody being the quantum computer.
Yes.
They're just
collectively together. Yes, we've built an army of computers that are fighting them.
Right.
Exactly. So that's, and Q, if people actually look at the way the drops are from the beginning, there's certain drops, right, that you will look. They tell you where to find their people, without knowing that they're their people. They tell you no outside comms, because no one that's part of Q would, tell you. Because why? Because then the light is on one when it's an aggregation of all.
Right.
So,
where we go one.
That's the beauty of it, is the idea that that it is an operation and it's not a person. If it was presented as a single entity, then they would have something to shoot at. Right now, they're just shooting into the darkness and have no idea what they're even firing at.
Right, because all of us together, like I said, the biggest quantum computer, the most efficient one, is between your ears. So imagine all of these millions of people around the world working on the same information at the same time, how it comes together. And there you go. You can see things and make sense of things a lot faster because everyone is working on it, right? So this is what the elites wanted. They wanted to create their own quantum computer. But what if you connect all these people together to fight them? They're lost, even though they have the massive one. But
yeah. Here we go, 774. If any recent shooters received therapies in the past, you were chosen for a specific reason. Discoveries must be originate organically. Hive mind. Q. Here's another one. Thank you for fulfilling this request. So look at all those anons. And then here's another one. Here's another one going to Trump saying, hey, look, this is Ken POTUS. Tweeted misspelling with a Q. There you go. Misspellings matter, and he changed it. Request fulfilled. Thank you for filling this request. Hive mind. Q. Pretty interesting, right?
Well, I could tell you without telling you that I can bring in. There have been some really exemplary military operations that we've done in the past, both for good and for bad. Yeah. And the one that we're watching is the one that breaks the scene down from the Truman Show.
Right.
Absolutely. Yep.
I want to also give a hat tip to Trumpy Girl here. And I didn't notice when I said it today, but Q said 6 o'clock can be dangerous according to Q 3599. And guess what time POTUS comes on tonight?
6 o'clock. Well, that's what time he's been trying to come on for the whole time.
No, he's been 5:30, 5:15, right?
I thought it was 6, but
maybe your time. Well, the only thing I want to see is who's going to be standing next to him,
right?
When there, because if I see Barr, I might have to run to the bathroom and pee because I might pee myself if it happens.
All right, so here's the whole post. Let's read it. Hat tip to Trumpy Girl. The harvest crop has been prepared and soon will be delivered to the public for consumption. Higher loyalty. Why? Hunters become the hunted. Treason, sedition. How do you remove a liability? 6 o'clock can be dangerous. Family proud. Q. And that's the one where Comey had a Y in his tweet for the family. Yep. Family Y. And Q posted that right after the message to James Comey. Wow.
Yeah, I actually did that segment with Millie. I don't think people understand what higher loyalty stands for. And from my listeners and to you guys that are my friends, I keep saying they, right? Who are they? We go back to the 13 lines. Well, there's more.
Oh yeah, we know that.
And we know that over here on the state side, it's the orphan kid that goes kicked out. The Pacers, they're really not happy. But it's a higher loyalty to them.
Exactly.
And who is that? And the question is, who is them and who are they? And Christy Alley actually tweeted that out. She's like, well, wait till you know who they are. And I was like, this girl is woke. So it's the they. And that'll be really interesting because the higher loyalty spells it out. And while they sit there and smirk and snirk and tweet out you guys, because they know that they're untouchable.
Right.
Because they know that, what do you do? Just close down the whole country and remove 1% of the population? Like, how do you do it?
It's no coincidence that the Merovingian warriors were called Comeys.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
really?
Merovingian warriors. Merovingian warrior. There's dukes or duques, and there's comes.
Damn Pacers.
And the comes were basically the ones that went out and robbed the land for the family and gave it to them. So Comey has been a cleaner since HSBC, laundering money for the Clintons. He's been
when I tell people that, they were like, what are you talking about? I was like, dude, he should have been disqualified. But, he was there collecting what? Blackmail. That's what they do.
Look what POTUS did on April 8th. Country with a Y. And then you've got, because T is going to replace Y. So look at this. Here's our general, Hillary E. Y. And it's also a pyramid if you look at it at the top.
then you can't promote principled anti-corruption action without pissing off corrupt people, George P. Kent. And then look at this. That's the post very next day.
Booyah.
Booyah.
Brennan's in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, he's already in 6. You know, so we've got the subpoenas, right?
Those have, listen, people have been testifying for over, a year and a half now.
Yes, ma'am.
Just because Mueller couldn't see, do you know what I'm saying? This has all been coming. And the thing is, it's who do you hang the hat on first? Because the goal here is to impeach 44.
Right.
That's what we got to do.
I agree.
Him. So, the only way you could do it is by this. I mean, people forget that Brennan was, the Hussein whisperer before Hussein became president.
You ready? Here, let's watch this, Tori.
Clovis still goes about his warrior band mentality.
Buffering.
He still takes with him his comace, which are his warrior bands, his leaders of the armies with him. And comace is etymologically the origin of the word count, or as a ruler, a count. And there would be others as well. Duques would become the dukes. And the ideal for the Merovingian expansion is that these warrior bands would go and they would attack and they would conquer a region. And then Clovis, or any other Merovingian king for that matter, would distribute and parcel out the land now conquered to his comace, to those who had loyalty with him in battle.
And then, here we go.
We did class this is not you and I, the warriors. That's Comey. The warrior is, protecting the family. This warrior, in this case, is protecting the family. If you think about protecting the family bloodline, a warrior is the protector of his family and those in need, quote unquote. A warrior is the guardian of the way of honor and courage, according to his family. A warrior will not put his own desires above what is right. It's always the family he protects first. And above all, a warrior is always motivated by his utmost duty.
So pretty interesting, right? So and then, you got higher loyalty, right? And you've got, yeah, here you go. And so this is our thread, on the Payseurs. And you tweeted Payseur.
I know everything there is to. Oh my gosh, I can't even start. That's the only laboratory that I almost failed the smell test in.
The Payseur laboratory, for the DNA and the.
That's why I went back to school. I mean,
Stephen Payseur, is that correct?
I went back to school because obviously I was more motivated because I wanted to find out which laboratories are participating. So I wanted to pay attention to orders, to what they were researching. So I went to different ones. In order to do that, you have to go to school, right? And in order to have an excuse to apply or whatever. But, it was also therapeutic for me because I had just lost my father and brother. And that was the excuse how I got out, right? Oh, my whole family devastated. You guys didn't even tell me my father died. Thanks. To kind of shift gears. So that was the only lab that I couldn't, I almost barely didn't pass the smell. They almost, recognized, and it was really hard to, but I did it.
Look at the rats.
I found what I needed. Yeah, I found what I needed in less than 3 hours beating them.
Look at that. And we stumbled upon this on our Payseur dig as well. Very interesting, guys. And wow. And they do genetics and genomics right there. And they did some weird tests in guess where? The Caribbean. On rats and whatnot. So we thought that this was very
really
interesting.
Big ones.
Well,
a lot like giants, because we could look back in history and compare giants to regulars and say they don't exist, and they do exist. I mean, history is not what they tell you.
None of it is real. None of what they told us is real.
None of it is. So that's what's important for us to just follow our gut. I mean, we love that a bit.
A lot of people don't quite make the connections. It's hard for people to make. The AMA was started by the same cabal. Just know that.
Mm-hmm. And there was a thread that you guys did that I read 100 times.
Is that the DNA one?
Was it
about reinstating your DNA?
It was more recent.
Okay.
Space
Force.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys should go through that because
the NRO stuff.
Yeah, well, did you see Millie's report? Because that NRO stuff is real good. Millie did some on the OSS, and then the other one that's about, Space Force. your thread was awesome, but you know the NRO is.
But I don't want butts.
I want to say no,
I'm just kidding.
But here's what was missing. Do you know that the NRO was the only agency that Clinton and Obama tried to shut down?
I did not know that. So these are your wizards and warlocks. We were right.
Well, the NRO
Possibly.
was actually created and sat there, but if you see, they tried to push for declassification. But there were a few people that were recruited into the military and moved into certain operations that weren't on the books. So even though like maybe someone was working for, I don't know, the clown agency or some private company, they could have been attached to that back channel as well, saying, well, maybe, you know, hey, Joe, maybe you want to be like working for us too and just tell us what you're doing over there because we're like the people, but you have to sign this and you never say it. I'm just saying this is totally hypothetical. Okay. And so the NRO was the back channel. And now we see that Space Force isn't really about going out in space so much as to intelligence.
Right.
And
so that's why we said we couldn't have found Soleimani without having the satellite. So the DNI, the space, so NRO reported to the DNI. That's why we had to get rid of the DNI. And do you know the same day that 8chan went down was when the new NRO director was being sworn in?
And then he was down for 93 days dark.
oh, wow. That's when it went down. Yeah. When he was coming.
On that day, yeah.
Yeah.
Right here. Let's see.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I loathe him. Do you know why I loathe him? Because he was, so I already knew that he was the 25th Amendment chit chat guy, you know, with Pence, who sat down with Pence and Rod Rosenstein to, you know, to see who's going to wear the wire. But this clown sat at the cybersecurity conference on stage on a global platform in the summer of 2018 and was mocking our president and laughing.
Wow.
In front of everyone. And I was like, I was foaming at the mouth. I was just like incessantly tweeting, oh my gosh, how dare he, like, fire him.
So they had the least amount of employees and the biggest budget under SAPs, right?
Of course.
You know, and, you know, I did business with Harris Corp and all those people too. But, you know, this is, how do you break up something this big? You know, apparently the POTUS was, or Q was saying that, you know, they had control of everyone but one, and we had to get rid of DNI Coates in order to get control of the NRO. And then how do you break it up? Well, you don't break it up. You put it under Space Force. Right.
There we go. And that's how you make things happen. You know how salty the Air Force is? Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Here's your NROC, and that's corn backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Corn are ready for to be cut.
Yep.
Huh. And that's what I got. You know, this is where we float when we float all. You know, their patches are pretty evil, right?
Well, I mean, nobody really wears the patches on the Space Force side, I think.
No, this is NRO. This is
well, same thing.
Yeah, this is NRO. And look at this is all your servants or all your base are belong to us, which is shall we play a game? That came from that. Blind eyes in the sky, talking about satellites and comms, right? This is the decode that I got from it, you know, and then, you know, keep going. And it was funny too, because it seemed like, here's your Trump names new acting of DNI. This happened on August 5th, I believe. And that's the same day, August 8th, that's the same day 8chan went down and Q went down for 93 days dark. Because SAP, the lady there, probably had to get rid of Q information. That's what my guess was.
Well, okay, so let me make a guess then, right? So, the people that work for a specific division of the NRO, that there's tons of unnamed little groups, right?
Sure.
Always have to stay in the back to control, you know, to kind of whiplash things right back into a level.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually the transition period. So during the transition period, the one thing you don't want is activity.
Right.
And the transition period is the time that you wait to see what the implementations are when you go for a new job, right?
You have a 90-day, yeah.
So you do, you sit there to have the transition to see if the back channels still exist. You keep them dormant. You don't have to delete things,
right?
Because they're already deleted. You just sit there and wait, kind of like keep it in suspension and then maneuver.
Wow.
So that's how it's that transition period.
So, and then I see logos in North Korea.
Well, you know, what was the first thing we did?
Right? It looks very similar, doesn't it? Huh? Hey, you know, so this is the kind of stuff that just happens. You know, there's Iran. No, that's still North Korea. And then Iran, here it is. This is them. Like, this is the part of the video I saw when you're walking through it.
Modern city street that quickly.
There we go. It's right about here.
Shows
Future Street.
Kind of sense of
Speed. They built it in 1 year. Fine speed. There they are.
commitment to making this.
I'm freaking out. I'm like, what?
Pretty awesome, huh?
Yeah. And then, you know, I found one. I don't know if I put it in here though, but the Iranian one looks a lot like which one was it? It was here's Dorian. You can put NRO and ND. So NRO and DIA spells Dorian.
Well, the DIA, okay, let's be honest. The one thing that I have bone to pick with the DIA is that there's way too many black hats and there are way too many black operations. I mean, the DARPA exercise that was executed on Twitter was also DARPA, DIA.
Right.
So the DIA likes to create sock puppets and hijack movements and hijack conversations all the time. But there's also the really good ones, and they're the ones that have the 007 passes, which really sucks.
And remember when they were all pissed off and freaking out about POTUS here? This was in the hurricane, you know, at one point, and they're all pissed off. They're freaking out. And then, and then Hillary says we shouldn't nuke hurricanes. And I'm sitting right in the path, Tori. It was going right for the Port St. Lucie nuke plant, right? And here, look at what happened here. Just want to show you this.
This so-called monster Cat 5 hurricane. What you're seeing on the left side
I've never
is the
seen a
official
Cat 5 just
Category
stop.
5 typhoon Trami near Japan from the September 2018 season compared to what we're seeing right now with Dorian. Hurricanes are usually asymmetrical and wider, whereas Dorian is compact with an eye wall that's perfectly circular. According to Mike Morales, who does weather for a living, and some others who are monitoring this very closely, this appears to be a manufactured storm. And check out this anomaly that you won't see on mainstream media.
Watch this.
This comes straight from the MORT, or microwave imagery. See these dark branched outlines coming from the west side of Florida and touching the outer bands of Dorian? The microwave imagery actually captures some kind of energy field connecting with the storm. What's that all about? We know they have directed energy technology. This is not a mystery. They make it known.
So, and then I look back at this, and you know what was Hillary saying? We do not nuke hurricanes, right?
That is so cool. And I just like the way that it took like a turn because they were all praying for it to land on Mar-a-Lago, and it's like
it stopped there. They stopped it, and it destroyed the biggest Chinese port ever.
I know, it was awesome.
I mean, it was going to hit me. Do you realize? I mean, it was going to hit me.
But I had faith.
I did too. I didn't move. I didn't go anywhere.
No, I was like, it's going to be fine. My friend went pan. I was like, it's going to be totally fine. Laura Loomer, you know, she's actually President Trump's congresswoman because he's going to vote.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I'm scared. I was like, don't worry about it. Trump's got to make it move. She's like, are you nuts? And I was like, just watch.
And here's how all these MIs had the same SAPs as NSA because of the NROC, the corn, the NROC. After 9/11, NROC was put together. And that's this, see, 9/11.
Well, actually, it was from before.
Mm-hmm. They just made it, you know, yeah. Right. I mean, just very interesting stuff, man. And then, Chupacabra. Did you know that there was a patch for Chupacabra?
I don't even want to get into Mexico yet.
Oh, gosh. I know, right? And then, you know, here we got Star Wars, right? And then shortly after this, you know, it looks like we got, this is Corona and Gambit.
Unprecedented access to a formerly top secret.
You know, I thought that was interesting, Corona, but now it appears that Corona means something totally different now, right?
Brown.
So, wow. All right. So,
Tori, we could do another 5 hours, I'm sure.
No, totally, because I'm having fun. Listen, you guys, now I'm going to hold you in front of your audience. Like, what day are we doing this? Because you guys air when I'm on air.
I know, and that sucks.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, we can, like, conjoin to talk, right?
Can we, like be on your show and have your show going through here?
Simultaneously, yeah.
Okay.
Like we could do like a whole, they could jump on your video, or, for the people that listen to me on the radio can just listen radio. And we could do like I do 12/2 Eastern, and you do my last hour, right? So you start at 1 Eastern, right?
Yeah, we start at 1, yeah.
Then you can hop on the second hour, and my audience can hear you, and then they can continue on to you to take more hours, because I need you guys back on. I mean, I'm looking to see how I can put together a fresh new billboard too.
Ooh, because by the way, we got to thank Tori for that again.
Yes, we do.
Are you kidding? I said that I was going to put Q there.
And guess what happened, guys?
Still there. I still have mine there. I still have it there.
We triggered them.
We did.
Oh my gosh, yes, they did. And so I'm thinking of doing something, but the date's not too clear yet with the math. So I'm just gonna wait a bit, because I want it to be on a date so it could be pretty incredible. So I'm, contemplating that. So yeah, you guys have to come. So we have to do it next week. So all your viewers and listeners are seeing this.
All right.
Look at that right there. There's the billboard right there. That's just our part. I know you got your part, but I was look at that. Oh my gosh. That was so awesome. And oh my God, they're like, how much did that cost you, Patriot? I'm like, actually, they donated it to us.
All we did was go on for a couple hours and hang with Tori.
Yeah, I mean, what better awesome thing is that? I mean, priceless.
We should put a lot of cues everywhere.
We should.
A lot of cues everywhere. And that's just so they can trigger and ask questions, because that's what Q does, is ask questions, and then recruits more quantum digital soldiers to do the work that's needed.
Yeah. And this is what I think is great about the best documentary of the year, according to Q, is that just added some memory and some bandwidth and some drive power to our quantum hive mind computer.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, guys,
Tori, love you. Thank you.
Oh no, I love you guys. I love everyone.
Thanks for coming and hanging with us.
Yeah,
and remember,
are you kidding? This is so much fun.
Tell Scott Adams, if we get booted, we're coming on Red State.
For sure. Why
something
not?
weird happened. Tori, I've got the screenshot. It said this stream violated policy.
Yeah, you had someone better than Alice on, and you're not supposed to.
And look what happened. I mean, I wonder if the white hats, said, "Hey, keep them back up." That's what I'm hoping.
Or it could be some greedy U.S. attorney for the swamp creatures. Maybe she'll say something where we can jump on it.
Right. Let's do it. Figure it out. Let's figure it out, guys.
All right.
Tori says,
like to go after me, not for the good.
Tori says on Twitter, we have her Twitter account right there. Don't forget to, is it ToriSays.com, right?
Yeah, it is.
And it's spelled T-O-R-E, guys. T-O-R-E-S-A-Y-S. And Twitter's Tori, T-O-R-E _S-A-Y-S. Tori, wow.
Yeah, it's okay. They listen to you. It's the same thing, right? We're all going for the same thing, and that's what's the coolest part about it. So I'm excited. Let's see if Barr is going to be with President Trump today.
All right. You guys pay attention to your POTUS.
And Trumpy Girl. Yeah, and Trumpy Girl reminded us 6 o'clock can be dangerous. Guys, much love to you. Tori, thank you. Love you.
Much love, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Tori. That was hilarious. That was awesome. Thank you.
Think about next week, okay?
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
And we got numbers now. Much love.
Yeah, bye.
All right, guys. That was a great surprise. Tori says, come on. Wow, Shady. That was amazing. So, guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we're going to head on out of here. We only did, 3 hours and 28 minutes, guys? Man, and we probably could go with her for another, 10? It was amazing. So let's get on out of here, guys. You are amazing. We love you. Thank you for your support. Remember, we've got the links down below to help fund this operation since we've been demonetized by the deep state. Let's get together soon. Tomorrow? What is it? Friday? We're going to have JT and Carly, guys. So don't forget, tomorrow, roundtable. Maybe we'll get a couple other people to come on in. We'll see how that goes. Shady, I love you, brother. Be good.
A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people. Underestimate the people. Never. I don't think it'll ever happen again.